My beloved child, there is something I need you to hear today. Not tomorrow. Not when everything finally makes sense. Not when all your questions have answers. Right now, in this very moment, I need you to listen carefully to my voice. A new beginning is coming into your life, and it is closer than you realize. I know there have been days when you wondered if anything would ever change. I have seen the weariness behind your smile. I have watched you carry burdens that no one else fully understands. There were nights when you lay awake, staring into the darkness, asking yourself if the season you were trapped in would ever end. You tried to stay strong. You tried to keep believing. Yet deep inside, there were moments when hope felt distant and the future seemed unclear. But my beloved child, what if I told you that the story you think is ending is actually preparing to begin again? What if the closed doors, the delays, the disappointments, and the unanswered questions were not signs that I had forgotten you, but signs that I was arranging something greater than you could currently see? Many people walk away when they cannot immediately see the outcome. They assume silence means absence. They mistake waiting for abandonment. But I want you to understand something that will change the way you view this season. Just because you cannot see me moving does not mean I am not working. Just because the ground appears empty does not mean seeds are not growing beneath it. Imagine a traveler walking through a dense fog. The path ahead is hidden. The destination is invisible. Every step feels uncertain. Yet the road still exists. The destination remains unchanged. The traveler simply cannot see what is already there. In the same way, my beloved child, there are blessings, opportunities, restorations, and breakthroughs already moving toward your life, even though your eyes have not yet witnessed them. You have spent so much time looking at what has been lost that you have almost missed what is being prepared. You have focused on what ended, while I have been quietly creating what comes next. The chapter that caused you pain is not the final chapter of your story. The disappointment that wounded your heart is not your permanent reality. The struggle that has tested your faith will not have the final word. Something is shifting. Even now, circumstances you cannot see are aligning. Paths are being cleared. Obstacles are being moved. Lessons are becoming wisdom. Tears are becoming strength. What felt like a season of surviving is slowly transforming into a season of renewal. I did not bring you this far to leave you where you are. I did not carry you through every difficult moment only for your story to end in defeat. There is purpose ahead of you. There is healing ahead of you. There is joy ahead of you. And there is a new beginning ahead of you. So before you allow fear to speak another word, before doubt tries to convince you that nothing will ever change, I want you to remember this promise. The season you have been praying for is nearer than you think. The dawn is beginning to break. The page is about to turn. And my beloved child, your new beginning is already on its way. My beloved child, before I speak to you about where I am taking you, I want to speak to you about where you have been. I want you to know something that your heart may have forgotten during the long and difficult days you have endured. I have seen every tear you have hidden. Not one has escaped my notice. Not one moment of pain has been invisible to me. There were times when you stood in a room full of people and felt completely alone. You smiled when others expected you to smile. You answered, "I'm fine," when your heart was quietly breaking inside. You carried responsibilities. You fulfilled obligations. You kept moving forward even when every step felt heavy. Yet beneath the surface, there were wounds that few people ever noticed. I saw them. I saw the disappointment you never talked about. I saw the rejection that left scars on your confidence. I saw the moments when you questioned your worth because someone failed to see your value. I I saw the nights when tears fell after everyone else had gone to sleep. I heard prayers that never left your lips because you did not know how to put your pain into words. My beloved child, you have never suffered alone. Even when it felt like heaven was silent, I was near. Even when circumstances convinced you that nothing was changing, I was holding you through every moment. There were days when you believed you had reached the limit of your strength, yet somehow you kept going. Have you ever wondered why? Have you ever wondered how you survived seasons that should have broken you? It was because I was carrying you when you could no longer carry yourself. There is a story of a small child walking beside his father through a violent storm. The wind pushed against them. Rain poured from the sky. The path was difficult to see. The child was frightened because everything around him felt uncertain. Yet he kept moving forward because his father held his hand tightly. The child did not understand the path. He did not know where they were going, but he trusted the hand that would not let him fall. My beloved child, there were storms you survived not because you understood them, but because my hand never released you. You may remember the storm, but I remember every time I protected you from what could have happened. You remember the heartbreak, but I remember the dangers you never saw. You remember the tears, but I remember the strength I placed within you so you could endure another day. The enemy wanted you to believe that your pain was meaningless. He wanted you to believe that your tears were wasted. He wanted you to think that your struggles were evidence that your future had been stolen. But that is not the truth. Nothing you have walked through has been wasted. Every challenge taught you something. Every disappointment revealed something. Every delay developed something inside of you that comfort could never have produced. The strength you now carry was born in places where you thought you were falling apart. The wisdom you possess was formed in seasons when you felt confused. The compassion you show others was often born from wounds that you once wished had never happened. I know there were moments when you asked, "Why is this happening to me?" I know there were days when you searched for answers and found only silence. But understand this, my beloved child, silence does not mean abandonment. Sometimes I am doing my deepest work in the places where you hear the fewest words. A gardener does not constantly dig up a seed to prove that it is growing. Growth happens beneath the surface. Roots form in hidden places. Life develops where human eyes cannot see it. In the same way, I have been working in your life even when you could not detect my movement. Today, I want you to release the burden of believing that you were forgotten. You were never forgotten. I want you to release the fear that your prayers went unheard. They were heard. I want you to release the lie that your tears had no purpose. They have purpose. The tears you cried in secret are not the end of your story. The pain you endured is not your permanent address. The sorrow you carried is not your final destination. I have seen every tear. I have counted every struggle. I have walked beside you through every valley. And now, my beloved child, the same hands that comforted you in your pain are preparing to lead you into the new beginning that has been waiting for you all along. My beloved child, I know that endings are not easy for you. When something familiar comes to an end, it can feel like a loss. When a chapter closes, questions often rise within your heart. You wonder why things change. You wonder why certain people left. You wonder why opportunities disappeared. You wonder why prayers seem to lead you down a different path than the one you expected. But today, I want you to see your story through my eyes rather than through the lens of disappointment. I want you to understand a truth that has carried countless hearts through difficult transitions. The end of one season often creates the birth of another. Many times, you see an ending and assume something valuable has been taken from you. Yet I see an ending and recognize that space is being created for something new. What appears to be loss is often preparation. What appears to be closure is often the beginning of transformation. Think about the changing seasons of the earth. Autumn arrives, and the leaves begin to fall. Trees that were once full and vibrant suddenly appear empty. To an untrained eye, it might look as though life is disappearing. But beneath the surface, something important is happening. The tree is preparing for what comes next. It is not dying. It is transitioning. It is making room for new growth that will emerge in its proper time. My beloved child, there have been seasons in your life when leaves had to fall. Certain relationships ended. Certain plans changed. Certain dreams took unexpected turn. Certain doors closed despite your efforts to keep them open. At the time, it felt painful. You questioned why it was happening. You searched for reasons. You searched for explanations. Yet many of those answers remained hidden. What you could not see then is becoming clear now. Some things ended because they could not go where I am taking you. Some situations ended because they had already fulfilled their purpose. Some chapters closed because remaining there would have prevented the growth that is now beginning to emerge. I know there were moments when you held tightly to things you loved. You prayed for them to stay. You hoped they would remain unchanged. But sometimes, my beloved child, what you call security can become limitation. What you call comfort can become confinement. What you call familiar could become a barrier to the future I have prepared for you. There once was a farmer who carried a bag of precious seeds. He loved those seeds because he knew their value. One day, he stood in his field and faced a difficult decision. If he kept the seeds safely in the bag, he would never lose them. They would remain exactly as they were, but they would never become anything more. To produce a harvest, he had to release them. He had to place them into dark soil where they would no longer look like seeds. He had to trust a process he could not fully control. For a time, it appeared as though he had lost something valuable. Yet what looked like loss was actually multiplication. What seemed like an ending was the beginning of abundance. My beloved child, some of the things you released were seeds, not losses. You may not understand every reason behind every ending, but you do not need complete understanding in order to trust me. I can see what you cannot see. I know what lies ahead. I know the roads that lead to blessing and the roads that lead to pain. I know the opportunities that will strengthen you and the distractions that would have delayed your purpose. The chapter that ended was not punishment. The transition you experienced was not evidence of abandonment. It was part of a larger story that is still unfolding. Do not spend all your energy mourning what has passed when I am inviting you to notice what is beginning. Do not remain standing before a closed door while new doors are quietly opening nearby. Do not allow yesterday's sorrow to blind you to tomorrow's possibilities. The season that is ending served its purpose. It taught you lessons. It strengthened your character. It revealed your resilience. It showed you that my grace could sustain you through challenges you never expected to face. Now a new season is approaching. The ground beneath your feet is changing. The air around your future is shifting. The things you once thought were permanent are making room for things you never imagined possible. So lift your eyes, my beloved child. Do not fear the transition. Do not fear the change. Trust the one who guides every season of your life. For what is ending is not greater than what is beginning, and what lies ahead carries more hope, more purpose, and more beauty than you can currently see. My beloved child, there is a question that has lived in your heart for a long time. It may not be spoken aloud often, but it has quietly followed you through many seasons. The question is this: why did it take so long? Why did the answer not come when you expected it? Why did the breakthrough not arrive when you prayed for it? Why did opportunities seem delayed while others appeared to move ahead? Why did doors remain closed after you knocked again and again? I know these questions because I have heard them. I have listened to the prayers whispered through tears. I have watched you wrestle with disappointment when timelines did not unfold according to your expectations. And today, my beloved child, I want to gently remind you something that can bring peace to your heart. Delays are not the same as denials. Many times when you cannot immediately see movement, you assume nothing is happening. But I do not work only in visible places. Some of my greatest works occur beneath the surface, far beyond what human eyes can observe. Imagine a master builder preparing the foundation of a great house. The people passing by see an empty piece of land and wonder why nothing is being built. Day after day, they see workers digging deeper into the ground. From their perspective, it appears that progress is slow. They do not realize that the deeper the foundation, the stronger the structure will be. If the builder rushed the process, the house might rise quickly, but it would not endure. The preparation beneath the surface is what determines the strength above it. My beloved child, there were seasons when I was strengthening your foundation. You were praying for elevation while I was developing stability. You were asking for the next chapter while I was preparing your heart to handle it. You were focused on arrival, but I was focused on readiness. Had certain blessings arrived too early, they would have become burdens instead of gifts. Had some doors opened before their appointed time, you might have entered places that your spirit was not yet prepared to sustain. Had every prayer been answered exactly when you wanted, you would have missed important lessons that are now shaping your future. I know waiting is difficult. Waiting often feels uncomfortable because it requires trust. It asks you to believe before you can see. It asks you to remain hopeful when evidence seems absent. It asks you to keep walking even when the destination remains hidden. Yet waiting has never been wasted when it is placed in my hands. Think of a young eagle growing inside its nest. The eagle dreams of flying, but there is a season when its wings are not yet strong enough. If it attempted to soar too soon, it would fall. The waiting period is not punishment. The waiting period is preparation. Every day of growth strengthens what will eventually carry it to greater heights. In the same way, the delays you experienced were often strengthening spiritual muscles you did not know you needed. Patience was being formed. Wisdom was being developed. Discernment was growing. Character was taking shape. You may not have noticed it while it was happening, but you are not the same person you were when you first began praying those prayers. You have grown. You have matured. You have learned things that could only be learned through the passage of time. There were also moments when I protected you through delays. Some situations looked perfect from your perspective, but I could see dangers hidden beyond the horizon. Some opportunities appeared attractive, but they would have led you away from the path I prepared for you. Some relationships seemed promising, but they carried pain that would have wounded your heart even more deeply. What felt like a delay was often my protection. What felt like a closed door was often my guidance. What felt like silence was often my wisdom at work. My beloved child, I need you to stop measuring my faithfulness by the speed of your answers. My love for you is not determined by how quickly circumstances change. My care for you is not proven through instant results. I am working with an eternal perspective, seeing every detail of your journey from beginning to end. The farmer does not become discouraged because the harvest does not appear the day after planting. He understands that growth requires time. He trusts the process because he knows what is happening beneath the soil. Today, I invite you to trust the process of your own journey. The delays did not mean I ignored you. The waiting did not mean I forgot you. The unanswered questions did not mean I abandoned you. I was preparing. I was protecting. I was positioning. And now, as you stand on the edge of a new beginning, you will soon understand that many of the delays that once frustrated you were actually acts of love. What seemed late was perfectly timed. What seemed withheld was being prepared. And what seemed impossible was quietly moving toward you all along. Trust me, my beloved child. The timing of your new beginning is not an accident. It is the result of a plan that has been unfolding with wisdom, care, and purpose from the very beginning. My beloved child, there were many moments when you gave your best and saw little in return. You invested your time, your energy, your faith, your kindness, and your love, yet it often felt as though nothing was changing. You prayed. You worked. You remained faithful even when the results were invisible. And because you could not immediately see progress, there were times when you wondered if any of it mattered. But today, I want to remind you of a truth that is woven into every part of creation. Every seed has a season. A seed does not become a harvest overnight. It enters the soil, disappears from sight, and remains hidden for a time. To those who look only at the surface, it may appear as though nothing is happening. The field seems unchanged. The ground looks empty. Yet beneath the soil, life is already beginning to emerge. The seed is not inactive. It is developing. The roots are stretching deeper. The foundation is forming. Growth is occurring where no human eye can see it. My beloved child, much of your life has been like that hidden seed. You have planted seeds of perseverance when quitting would have been easier. You have planted seeds of compassion when others showed you little kindness. You have planted seeds of faith during seasons filled with uncertainty. You have planted seeds of patience when answers seemed delayed. You have planted seeds of love even after experiencing disappointment and heartbreak. There were moments when you questioned whether your efforts mattered because the harvest did not appear immediately. You looked around and saw barren ground. You saw unanswered prayers. You saw dreams that seemed distant. You saw challenges that refused to disappear. Yet I saw something entirely different. I saw roots growing. I saw strength developing. I saw character being formed. I saw a future harvest quietly taking shape beneath the surface. A farmer who understands the nature of seeds does not panic the day after planting. He does not stand in the field demanding instant results. He trusts the process because he knows that growth follows laws established long before he arrived. He understands that what is hidden today can become abundant tomorrow. My beloved child, I need you to trust the process of your own growth. Some of the prayers you thought were unanswered are still developing beneath the soil of time. Some of the blessings you thought had passed you by are still moving toward you. Some of the breakthroughs you stopped expecting are closer than they appear. The problem is not that the seeds failed. The problem is that many people become discouraged before the season of growth arrives. They abandon the field too soon. They stop believing too soon. They stop expecting too soon. But you have remained standing. Even when your faith felt small, you continued moving forward. Even when your heart was tired, you continued trusting. Even when circumstances gave you reasons to doubt, you continued taking one step after another. And because of that, my beloved child, you are approaching a season where hidden growth will begin to reveal itself. Think about a bamboo tree. For years after planting, very little appears above the ground. Someone observing it might believe nothing is happening. Yet beneath the surface an extensive root system is forming. Then, when the proper time arrives, rapid growth begins. What seemed impossible suddenly becomes visible. Many people celebrate the visible growth without understanding the years of hidden preparation that made it possible. Your life is no different. The strength you now possess was not developed in a single day. The wisdom you carry was not formed overnight. The resilience inside you was built through countless moments when you chose faith instead of surrender. Every tear you cried while continuing to trust me planted a seed. Every act of obedience planted a seed. Every prayer spoken through disappointment planted a seed. Every time you chose hope over despair planted a seed. And I am the keeper of every seed you have planted. Nothing hath been forgotten. Nothing hath been lost. Nothing has been wasted. Even now, circumstances are aligning in ways you cannot yet fully understand. The things that once appeared dormant are beginning to awaken. Opportunities are moving into place. Answers are drawing near. Doors that seemed impossible to open are being prepared. Do not mistake silence for inactivity. Do not mistake hidden growth for failure. Do not mistake waiting for loss. The field may still look quiet, but life is already stirring beneath the surface. My beloved child, your season of planting has not been in vain. The seeds of faithfulness you scattered throughout difficult seasons are preparing to produce fruit. The prayers you thought disappeared into the air were received. The efforts you believed went unnoticed were seen. A new beginning is coming, and part of that new beginning includes a harvest from seeds you planted long ago. So lift your eyes with expectation. Continue trusting. Continue believing. For the ground beneath your feet is no longer empty. The seeds are growing. The roots are strong. And the first signs of a beautiful harvest are much closer than you think. My beloved child, there are wounds within your heart that few people know about. Some were caused by words spoken carelessly. Some came from promises that were broken. Some were born from rejection, betrayal, disappointment, or loss. And some wounds are so old that you have carried them for years, learning how to function around them while secretly wondering if they will ever truly heal. I know every one of those wounds. I know the memories that still visit your mind when you least expect them. I know the moments that change the way you see yourself. I know the experiences that made you more cautious, more guarded, and sometimes more afraid to trust again. I know the pain that you rarely discuss because explaining it feels too difficult. My beloved child, I want you to hear me clearly today. I am healing what hurt you deeply. Not just the pain others could see. Not just the struggles you openly acknowledged. I am reaching into the hidden places of your heart, into the areas where sorrow settled quietly, and I am bringing restoration. Many people believe healing happens instantly, but often healing is a journey. It is a gentle process. It is the steady work of replacing fear with peace, replacing lies with truth, and replacing brokenness with wholeness. Imagine a beautiful garden that was once damaged by a powerful storm. Branches were broken. Flowers were crushed. The ground was left scarred. For a while, it seemed impossible that beauty could ever return to that place. Yet the gardener did not abandon the garden. Day after day, he cared for it. He removed what was dead. He watered the soil. He protected new growth. Slowly, life returned. New flowers appeared. New branches emerged. What was once damaged became beautiful again. My beloved child, I am that gardener. There were storms that swept through your life. Some arrived without warning. Some lasted far longer than you expected. They left marks on your heart. They shook your confidence. They caused you to question things you once believed with certainty. But I never abandoned the garden of your soul. Even during the darkest moments, I remained beside you. Even when healing felt impossible, I continued working. Even when you thought nothing was changing, I was nurturing new growth within you. I know that some wounds made you question your worth. There were times when the actions of others convinced you that you were not valuable enough, lovable enough, capable enough, or important enough. But my beloved child, the opinions of people have never defined your value. Your worth was established long before anyone hurt you. Your value does not decrease because someone failed to appreciate you. Your identity does not disappear because someone rejected you. You are precious because I created you. You are loved because my love does not depend on human approval. You are worthy because your worth comes from me. There are also wounds that came from disappointment. You trusted. You hoped. You believed something good would happen. Yet the outcome was different than you imagined. The dream faded. The opportunity vanished. The relationship changed. The answer never came. Those disappointments left scars. And scars often whisper dangerous lies. They tell you not to hope again. They tell you not to trust again. They tell you not to expect good things because you might be hurt again. But those lies are not your future. Healing means learning that yesterday's pain does not have authority over tomorrow's possibilities. Healing means understanding that one disappointment does not determine the outcome of every future chapter. Healing means believing that your story is bigger than the wound you experienced. There is something else I want you to understand. The pain you endured has not made you weaker than before. In many ways, it has made you stronger. Not because suffering itself is desirable, but because you discovered strengths you never knew you possessed. You learned compassion through hardship. You learned perseverance through struggle. You learned faith through uncertainty. The very places where you felt broken became places where wisdom was formed. Now, my beloved child, I am inviting you to release what you have carried for too long. Release the bitterness. Release the regret. Release the self-blame. Release the fear that healing will never fully come. You do not need to carry yesterday's wounds into tomorrow's beginning. A new season is approaching, and I do not want you entering it burdened by old pain. I want you to step forward with freedom. I want you to walk forward with peace. I want you to experience the joy that comes when a wounded heart begins to believe again. The healing may not happen all at once, but it is happening. Every day, I'm restoring something. Every day, I'm strengthening something. Every day, I'm rebuilding something. The wounds that once defined your thoughts will not define your future. The pain that once controlled your emotions will not control your destiny. For I am healing what hurt you deeply, my beloved child. And as your heart heals, you will discover that the new beginning I have prepared for you is not only changing your circumstances, it is also transforming you from the inside out. My beloved child, there is something that has tried to follow you through many seasons of your life. It has whispered during moments of uncertainty. It has appeared when new opportunities stood before you. It has spoken when you were trying to move forward, reminding you of past disappointments and future possibilities that had not yet happened. That thing is fear. Fear has a way of making shadows appear larger than they really are. It takes unanswered questions and turns them into worst-case scenarios. It takes temporary challenges and tries to convince you they are permanent. It takes uncertainty and disguises it as danger. I know the fears you have carried. I know the fear of failure. The fear that you might try again and be disappointed again. The fear that things will never change. The fear that you are not enough. The fear of losing what you love. The fear of stepping into something unfamiliar. The fear of hoping too much and getting hurt again. Some of these fears have been with you for so long that they almost feel normal. You have learned to live around them. You have adjusted your expectations because of them. You have sometimes limited your dreams because fear convinced you that safety was better than possibility. But today, my beloved child, I want you to hear my voice above every fearful thought. The chains of fear are breaking. Fear was never meant to rule your life. It was never meant to control your decisions. It was never meant to define your future. You were created for more than survival. You were created for trust. You were created for courage. You were created to walk forward knowing that you are not alone. Imagine a young sailor standing at the edge of a harbor. He dreams of exploring distant lands, but every time he looks at the open sea, fear fills his heart. The waves seem too large. The unknown seems too dangerous. The possibility of storms makes him hesitate. So he remains in the harbor where everything feels familiar. The harbor is safe, but it is not where the sailor's purpose is fulfilled. Ships were not built merely to sit in calm waters. They were built to move. They were built to travel. They were built to discover new horizons. My beloved child, there have been times when fear tried to keep you anchored in places that no longer served your growth. Fear told you not to take the step. Fear told you not to trust again. Fear told you not to believe for more. Fear told you to stay where everything felt predictable. But I did not create you to remain trapped by fear. I created you to move forward with faith. Faith does not mean you have every answer. Faith does not mean you understand every detail of the journey. Faith means trusting me even when the path ahead is not fully visible. There is a difference between fear and wisdom. Wisdom helps you make careful decisions. Fear convinces you not to move at all. Wisdom seeks guidance. Fear creates paralysis. Wisdom listens for my voice. Fear listens only to uncertainty. Many of the things you worry about never come to pass. Many of the battles you imagine never actually happen. Fear often demands your energy for problems that do not even exist. And while fear is busy showing you everything that could go wrong, I am inviting you to remember everything that can go right. Have I not carried you through difficult seasons before? Have I not strengthened you when you felt weak? Have I not provided for you when you were uncertain? Have I not guided you through valleys you never thought you would survive? The same God who was faithful yesterday remains faithful today. The same hand that protected you in past storms is still holding you now. The same voice that comforted you in moments of sorrow is still speaking peace over your life. My beloved child, the new beginning that is coming requires courage, not because you are strong enough on your own, but because you are walking with me. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward despite it. Courage is taking the next step while trusting that I will guide the one after that. Courage is believing my promises more than you believe your worries. The chains of fear do not break because circumstances become perfect. They break when you stop giving fear authority over your future. They break when you remember who walks beside you. They break when you trust my presence more than your doubts. They break when you choose faith over fear, one step at a time. So today, release the fears you have been carrying. Release the worries that have stolen your peace. Release the doubts that have limited your vision. The future ahead of you is not controlled by fear. The new beginning I am bringing into your life is not dependent on your ability to predict every outcome. It is dependent on my faithfulness. And my beloved child, my faithfulness has never failed you. As fear loses its grip, you will begin to see what I have seen all along. The path ahead is filled with possibility, purpose, and hope. The chains are breaking, and you are becoming free to walk into the beautiful future that has been waiting for you. My beloved child, there are certain moments in life that leave a lasting impression on the heart. Moments when a door closes so firmly that you become convinced it will never open again. You prayed. You waited. You gave everything you knew to give. Yet despite your efforts, the opportunity disappeared. The relationship changed. The dream faded, or the path you expected simply came to an end. Over time, you learned to live with the disappointment. You told yourself not to think about it anymore. You convinced yourself to stop expecting anything different. You built emotional walls around that part of your heart because revisiting the pain felt too difficult. And eventually, what was once a hope became a memory. But today, my beloved child, I want to speak to you about those closed doors. Not every closed door was meant to remain closed forever. There is a difference between a door that was locked by human limitations and a door that is governed by my timing. There is a difference between a dream that was denied and a dream that was delayed. There is a difference between something being finished and something simply waiting for the right season. Many times, when a door closes, you immediately assume the story has ended. You assume the opportunity is gone. You assume the possibility has disappeared. But I see what you cannot see. I see paths beyond the door. I see timing beyond the moment. I see outcomes beyond your current understanding. Imagine a young traveler standing before a mountain. His destination lies on the other side, but the path he planned to take suddenly becomes blocked. Rocks cover the trail. The road appears impossible. Frustrated and discouraged, he assumes his journey is over. What he does not know is that another path exists. A safer path. A better path. A path that eventually leads to an even greater destination than the one he originally imagined. His problem is not that the journey has ended. His problem is that he can only see one route. My beloved child, there were times when you could only see one route. You thought one opportunity was the answer. You thought one person was the answer. You thought one specific outcome was the answer. And when that door closed, it felt like everything was lost. But I am not limited to one door. I am not limited to one opportunity. I am not limited to one solution. What seems impossible to you is never impossible to me. Some of the things you mourned were not actually your final destination. They were stepping stones. They were lessons. They were preparation. They taught you valuable truths about yourself, about life, and about trust. And now, because of what you learned, you are becoming ready for something greater. I know there are dreams buried deep within your heart that you rarely speak about anymore. Dreams you once carried with excitement. Dreams that inspired your prayers. Dreams that gave you hope during difficult seasons. Perhaps you stopped talking about them because too much time passed. Perhaps you stopped believing because disappointment became familiar. Perhaps you convinced yourself that those dreams belonged only to the past. But I want you to understand something today. I am the God of unexpected possibilities. I can restore hope where hope seemed lost. I can create opportunities where none appear to exist. I can breathe life into situations that seem beyond repair. I can open doors that no human being can shut. And sometimes, my beloved child, the doors I open are even better than the ones you were trying so hard to keep open yourself. There are blessings ahead that you could not have imagined years ago because you were not yet ready to see them. There are opportunities approaching that align more perfectly with your purpose than anything you previously pursued. There are connections, breakthroughs, and moments of joy that are waiting just beyond your current view. Do not assume that because something has been quiet for a long time, it is gone forever. Seeds remain hidden before they grow. Sunrise remains unseen before dawn arrives. Preparation remains invisible before opportunity appears. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean movement is absent. Even now, I am arranging circumstances. Even now, I am creating pathways. Even now, I am opening possibilities. What seemed permanently closed may simply have been waiting for the right moment. My beloved child, I do not want you to live with a defeated heart. I do not want you to assume that your best days are behind you. I do not want you to believe that the story ended when one chapter closed. Your story is still unfolding. Your future is still being written. And there are doors ahead that will surprise you. Some will be doors you never expected. Some will be opportunities you never imagined. Some will answer prayers you thought had been forgotten. So lift your eyes again. Hope again. Believe again. Do not focus only on the doors that closed years ago. Begin paying attention to the doors that are quietly beginning to open. For the new beginning I have promised is not a distant dream. It is drawing closer. And soon, my beloved child, you will discover that what looked like an ending was often my way of leading you towards something far more beautiful than you could see at the time. My beloved child, as you stand on the edge of this new beginning, there is something important I want you to understand. You have spent so much time focusing on what has happened around you that you may have overlooked what has been happening within you. You are not who you were before. The person listening to my voice today is not the same person who entered the storms you have survived. You are not the same person who cried those first tears. You are not the same person who faced those early disappointments. You are not the same person who once felt overwhelmed by challenges that now seem far behind you. You have changed. You have grown. You have become stronger than you realize. Growth often happens so gradually that it is difficult to recognize while it is taking place. Day by day, lesson by lesson, challenge by challenge, I have been shaping something beautiful within you. Because the process was slow, because the transformation happened over time, you may not fully see it yet. But I see it. I see the strength that was forged through hardship. I see the wisdom that emerged from difficult experiences. I see the resilience that developed when you refused to give up. I see the courage that was born from facing fears you never wanted to face. My beloved child, there was a time when certain situations would have completely shaken your peace. There was a time when certain disappointments would have convinced you to quit. There was a time when certain obstacles would have stopped you from moving forward. But look at yourself now. You are still standing. Not because life was easy. Not because every prayer was immediately answered. Not because every journey went according to plan. You are still standing because I was quietly strengthening you through every season. Think about a blacksmith shaping a piece of metal. The metal enters the fire rough and unformed. It experiences heat, pressure, and shaping. If the metal could speak, it might question the process. It might wonder why the fire is necessary. It might wonder why the pressure continues. Yet the blacksmith sees something the metal cannot see. He sees the final result. He sees the strength that will emerge. He sees the purpose that is being formed. My beloved child, some of the fires you endured were not meant to destroy you. They were meant to strengthen you. Some of the pressures you faced were not evidence that I had abandoned you. They were evidence that I was shaping you for something greater. The challenges you survived revealed strengths that comfort could never have produced. The battles you fought taught you perseverance. The losses you endured taught you compassion. The delays you experienced taught you patience. The uncertainty you faced taught you trust. You may still see yourself through the lens of your past mistakes or weaknesses. You may still remember moments when you stumbled, moments when you died, moments when you felt inadequate. But I do not see you only through those moments. I see who you are becoming. I see the maturity that has developed. I see the faith that continued growing even during difficult seasons. I see the character that has been refined. I see the strength that now exists where fear once lived. There is a story about a caterpillar that spends much of its life crawling close to the ground. If someone looked at it during that stage, they would never imagine what it was destined to become. Yet hidden within that small creature is a future it cannot yet fully comprehend. Then comes the transformation, a season of change, a season of waiting, a season where everything appears uncertain. And when the process is complete, the caterpillar emerges with wings. It becomes something entirely different from what it once was. My beloved child, your struggles have not simply changed your circumstances. They have changed you. You have gained wings in places where you once felt confined. You have developed wisdom in places where you once lacked understanding. You have discovered strength in places where you once felt weak. You have learned to trust me in ways you never could have learned without the journey. This is why the new beginning ahead of you is different from previous seasons. You are entering it as a different person. You are carrying lessons that did not exist before. You are carrying strength that did not exist before. You are carrying wisdom that did not exist before. You are carrying faith that did not exist before. Do not underestimate what I have done within you. Do not overlook the transformation because it happens slowly. Do not compare yourself to who others are becoming. Instead, recognize how far you have come. The old version of you could not fully handle what is coming next. But the person you are becoming can. The growth was necessary. The lessons were necessary. The preparation was necessary. And now, my beloved child, as a new season begins to unfold before you, remember this truth whenever doubt tries to return. You are not who you were before. You have been shaped by grace. You have been strengthened by experience. You have been prepared by every season you have survived. And because of that, you are ready to step into the new beginning that is drawing closer with every passing day. My beloved child, there are moments in life when it feels as though nothing is moving. You look around and see routines that seem unchanged. You see circumstances that appear familiar. You see prayers that are still unfolding and dreams that have not yet fully arrived. In those moments, it is easy to believe that you are standing still. But what if I told you that standing still is not always the same as being stuck? What if I told you that while you have been focusing on what has not happened yet, I have been carefully positioning you for what comes next? Many people misunderstand preparation because preparation rarely looks exciting while it is happening. The athlete spends countless hours training before the race. The musician practices long before the performance. The builder lays foundations before walls begin to rise. Preparation often happens in quiet places, away from applause and recognition. My beloved child, much of your recent journey has been preparation. You thought certain delay meant nothing was happening, but I was positioning you. You thought certain detours were distractions, but I was positioning you. You thought certain disappointments were setbacks, but I was positioning you. There is a difference between being delayed and being directed. There is a difference between being stuck and being prepared. I know there were moments when you wanted immediate answers. You wanted clarity. You wanted certainty. You wanted to know exactly how everything would unfold. But if I had shown you every detail from the beginning, you would have focused on the destination and missed the transformation that needed to happen along the way. The person you are becoming is just as important as the blessing you are receiving. Imagine an archer preparing to release an arrow. Before the arrow can move forward, it must first be pulled backward. To the arrow, that backward movement might seem confusing. It might feel like progress is moving in the wrong direction. Yet the backward movement is not failure. It is preparation for acceleration. My beloved child, Some of the seasons that felt like backward movement were actually positioning seasons. They were creating momentum for what is ahead. They were developing qualities within you that will help sustain the blessings you are about to receive. You have learned patience. You have learned perseverance. You have learned compassion. You have learned trust. You have learned how to keep moving forward even when circumstances did not immediately improve. These lessons are not accidental. They are part of the preparation. There are opportunities approaching that require the wisdom you have gained. There are responsibilities approaching that require the strength you have developed. There are blessings approaching that require the maturity you now possess. Nothing has been wasted. Not the tears. Not the waiting. Not the struggles. Not the questions. Every season contributed something valuable to the person you are becoming. Even now, there are connections being arranged that you cannot yet see. There are conversations that will happen at the right time. There are opportunities moving into place. There are circumstances quietly aligning behind the scenes. You may not recognize all of it today, but one day you will look back and understand that what seemed random was actually purposeful. What seemed delayed was actually strategic. What seemed confusing was actually preparation. My beloved child, I need you to stop measuring your progress only by visible results. Growth is not always obvious. Positioning is not always dramatic. Sometimes the most important changes happen beneath the surface before they become visible above it. Trust that I know where I am leading you. Trust that I know what you need. Trust that I know the timing. The new beginning coming into your life is not arriving by accident. It is arriving through a process that has been unfolding with precision, care, and purpose. And because I have been positioning you, you will be ready when the moment arrives. You will not have to force the door open. You will not have to manufacture the opportunity. You will not have to live in constant fear of losing what I have prepared. You simply need to keep walking with me. The season ahead is closer than you think. The pieces are coming together. The path is becoming clearer. And soon you will begin to see why this preparation was necessary. My beloved child, as I position you for this new beginning, I am also inviting others into this journey of hope. Every message of encouragement that reaches a weary heart is like a seed planted in fertile soil. Through these videos, rivers of comfort flow into lives that may be struggling in silence. My word declares, one sows and another reaps, and today I am still bringing harvest through willing hearts. If this message has strengthened your faith, hear mine invitation. Become part of the light that reaches someone still walking through darkness. Through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal gift found in the video description, and through the QR code in this video, you can help these messages continue reaching souls around the world. What you release today becomes seed for tomorrow's harvest. Do not see your support as a donation. See it as participation in a divine assignment. I tell you that every seed sown into my work carries the potential to touch lives you may never meet. And to those who give with willing hearts, I speak blessing, provision, and renewed purpose over your lives. Let your seed become a lamp for another traveler. Let your generosity become a river that carries my hope to waiting hearts. Act now and sow into the harvest I am bringing forth. My beloved child, when people think about a new beginning, they often imagine external changes. They imagine new opportunities, new relationships, new circumstances, new doors opening, and new blessings appearing. They look for visible signs that life is changing. They wait for something around them to become different. But I want to reveal an important truth to you today. Every lasting new beginning starts on the inside before it appears on the outside. Long before a tree bears fruit, life begins within the seed. Long before dawn brightens the horizon, light has already begun its journey. Long before a building rises into view, plans are carefully formed beneath the surface. In the same way, the new beginning I am bringing into your life is already starting within you. You may not fully recognize it yet, but your thoughts are changing. Your perspective is changing. Your understanding is changing. The way you see yourself is changing. The way you see your future is changing. These internal changes are not small things. They are the foundation of everything that is coming next. For a long time, fear may have influenced your decisions. Past disappointments may have shaped your expectations. Old wounds may have affected the way you view new opportunities. Without realizing it, you may have carried beliefs that belonged to previous seasons. Beliefs that said nothing would ever change. Beliefs that said your best days were behind you. Beliefs that said you should expect disappointment rather than blessing. Beliefs that told you to protect yourself from hope because hope felt risky. But my beloved child, I am gently replacing those old beliefs with new truth. I am teaching you that your future is not determined by your past. I am teaching you that one difficult chapter does not define the entire story. I am teaching you that healing is possible. I am teaching you that hope is safe in my hands. There is a story of a man who inherited an old house. The house had strong walls and a solid structure, but over time, many of the rooms had become dark. Dust covered the floors. The windows were blocked. The beauty of the home was hidden beneath years of neglect. One day, the man decided to restore it. He opened the windows. He removed what no longer belonged. He repaired damaged areas. He allowed light to enter places that had remained dark for years. As the restoration continued, the house began to reveal the beauty that had always existed beneath the surface. My beloved child, your heart is experiencing a similar restoration. I am opening windows that have been closed. I am bringing light into places where discouragement once lived. I am removing lies that have occupied space for too long. I am restoring confidence where doubt once ruled. I am restoring peace where anxiety once lingered. And as this inner restoration continues, you will begin to notice changes that once seemed impossible. You will find yourself responding differently to situations that once overwhelmed you. You will find yourself trusting more easily. You will find yourself worrying less about outcomes you cannot control. You will find yourself expecting good things instead of preparing for disappointment. These are signs that something beautiful is happening within you. Many people spend their lives waiting for external circumstances to create inner peace. They tell themselves they will feel secure once everything works out. They tell themselves they will have joy once every problem disappears. But true peace does not begin when circumstances become perfect. True peace begins when you trust me in the middle of the process. That is why I have been working within you. Because the blessings that are coming will be enjoyed more deeply by the person you are becoming. The opportunities that are approaching will be handled more wisely by the person you are becoming. The future that awaits you requires a stronger foundation than the one you once had. And I have been building that foundation day by day. My beloved child, do not underestimate the importance of this inner transformation. What I am doing within you today is preparing you for what I will do around you tomorrow. The confidence you are gaining will help you walk through new doors. The wisdom you are gaining will help you make important decisions. The peace you are gaining will help you navigate future challenges. The faith you are gaining will help you embrace opportunities without fear. The new beginning is not simply arriving from the outside. It is growing from within. That is why you feel different. That is why your perspective is changing. That is why old fears are losing their power. That is why hope is beginning to rise again. I am creating new thoughts, new expectations, and new possibilities inside your heart. And as this transformation continues, the external changes you have been praying for will begin to align with the internal work I have already started. Trust the process, my beloved child. The new beginning is already underway. It began the moment you allowed me to work within you. And soon, what has been happening in the hidden places of your heart will begin to reveal itself in every area of your life. My beloved child, as I continue leading you toward this new beginning, there is something important I need you to understand. Not everything from your past is meant to travel with you into your future. I know that can be difficult to hear. There are memories you have held tightly. There are disappointments you continue to revisit. There are regrets that still occupy space in your thoughts. There are old hurts, old fears, old expectations, and old burdens that have remained with you for far longer than they were ever meant to stay. Yet if you are going to fully embrace what is ahead, there are some things you must be willing to release. Imagine a traveler preparing for a long journey. He carefully packs his belongings, but as time passes, his bag becomes heavier and heavier. He begins carrying items he no longer needs. Broken tools, worn-out supplies, objects that once served a purpose but now only create unnecessary weight. The more he carries, the harder the journey becomes. His destination has not changed, but his burden has grown. My beloved child, there have been seasons when you have carried things that no longer belong in your life. You have carried guilt for mistakes I have already forgiven. You have carried resentment toward people who wounded you. You have carried fear born from experiences that are now behind you. You have carried disappointment from doors that closed years ago. You have carried sorrow from seasons that have already ended. And while you have been carrying these burdens, I have been inviting you to lay them down. Not because your pain was insignificant, not because your experiences did not matter, but because those burdens were never meant to become permanent companions. There is a difference between learning from the past and living in the past. Learning from the past brings wisdom. Living in the past steals peace. Learning from the past strengthens your future. Living in the past limits your future. Some of the thoughts that continue to visit your mind belong to chapters that have already ended. Yet every time you revisit them, it is as though you reopen a door that I have already closed. My beloved child, I am not asking you to pretend those experiences never happened. I am asking you to stop allowing them to define who you are becoming. The pain happened. The disappointment happened. The betrayal happened. The mistake happened. But those moments are not your identity. They are not your future. They are not the final word over your life. Think about a tree during autumn. When the season changes, the tree releases its leaves. It does not cling desperately to what is falling away. It does not resist the process. It understands something important. Holding on to old leaves can interfere with new growth. What appears to be loss is actually preparation. The tree lets go because something new is coming. My beloved child, some things are falling away because something new is coming. Some old mindsets must be released because they cannot support your next season. Some fears must be released because they cannot guide your future. Some wounds must be surrendered because they cannot accompany you where I am leading you. Some regrets must be released because they no longer serve a purpose. You may ask, how do I let go? The answer begins with trust. Trust that I am greater than your mistakes. Trust that I am able to redeem what was broken. Trust that I can bring beauty from difficult seasons. Trust that what I have prepared for you is greater than what you are leaving behind. Letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is choosing not to remain trapped. It is choosing freedom over captivity. It is choosing hope over bitterness. It is choosing faith over fear. There are people who spend years staring at closed doors while new opportunities wait behind them. They become so focused on what they lost that they miss what is arriving. They become so attached to old chapters that they cannot fully enter new ones. I do not want that for you, my beloved child. I want you to move forward with open hands. I want you to trust that if I ask you to release something, it is because I have something better prepared. I want you to understand that every act of surrender creates space for new blessings. Every burden release creates room for greater peace. Every regret surrendered creates room for renewed hope. Every fear released creates room for deeper faith. The new beginning ahead of you is not simply about receiving something new. It is also about making room for it. That is why I am gently asking you to release what cannot follow you. Release the old pain. Release the old disappointment. Release the old identity. Release the old fears. Release the old version of yourself that believed change was impossible. You are stepping into a new season now. A season that requires freedom. A season that requires trust. A season that requires an open heart. And as you loosen your grip on what belongs to yesterday, you will discover something beautiful. What once felt impossible to release will no longer seem as important as what is waiting ahead. For I am leading you forward, my beloved child. And the future I have prepared for you is too precious to be crowded by burdens that were never meant to remain. My beloved child, one of the most challenging parts of any journey is not the distance you must travel. It is not the obstacles you must overcome. It is not even the waiting. Often, the most difficult part is moving forward when you cannot clearly see the path ahead. You naturally want answers. You want certainty. You want to know where each step will lead before you take it. You want reassurance that everything will work out exactly as you hope. And while there is nothing wrong with desiring clarity, there are seasons when I ask you to walk by trust rather than by sight. I know this is not always easy. There have been moments when you stood at a crossroads, searching for direction. You prayed for a sign. You asked for understanding. You looked ahead and saw questions instead of answers. The future seemed hidden behind a curtain you could not pull back. In those moments, fear often tried to convince you that uncertainty was dangerous. But uncertainty is not the same as abandonment. Just because you cannot see the entire path does not mean the path does not exist. Imagine a traveler walking through a forest before sunrise. The darkness prevents him from seeing miles ahead, yet he carries a small lantern. The lantern does not illuminate the entire journey. It simply provides enough light for the next few steps. The traveler may wish for more visibility. He may wish to see the entire road. But the lantern provides exactly what he needs for that moment. My beloved child, my guidance often works in a similar way. I do not always reveal the entire journey at once. I often provide enough light for the next step, and the next, and the next. This is not because I enjoy keeping you uncertain. It is because trust grows when you learn to rely on me rather than on complete understanding. If you knew every detail in advance, you might depend more on information than on faith. If you could see every twist and turn of the road, you might overlook the importance of my presence beside you. Sometimes I reveal the destination gradually because the relationship we build along the journey is just as important as the destination itself. I know there are areas of your life where questions remain unanswered. You may be wondering how certain situations will unfold. You may be wondering when certain prayers will be answered. You may be wondering how opportunities will appear. You may be wondering whether the dreams within your heart will ever become reality. These questions are real. These concerns are understandable. But I want you to remember something important. I am not confused about your future. You may not know what comes next, but I do. You may not understand how everything will come together, but I do. You may not see a clear path, but I see the entire journey from beginning to end. There was once a child walking through a crowded city with his father. The streets were unfamiliar. The noise was overwhelming. People moved in every direction. The child could not understand where they were going or why they were taking certain turns. Yet the child felt secure because his father knew the way. He did not need to understand every street. He did not need a map. He only needed to stay close to the one who knew where they were headed. My beloved child, I am inviting you into that same kind of trust. Not a trust based on having every answer. Not a trust based on perfect circumstances. A trust based on my character. A trust based on my faithfulness. A trust based on the countless times I have already carried you through situations that once seemed impossible. Think back to challenges you have already survived. There were seasons when you thought you would never make it through. There were moments when you could not imagine how things would improve. There were circumstances that appeared hopeless. Yet here you are. You survived. You grew. You learned. You moved forward. Why? Because I was guiding you even when you could not see the full path. The same truth remains today. The God who guided you then is guiding you now. The God who provided for you then is providing for you now. The God who strengthened you then is strengthening you now. Do not allow uncertainty to become a reason for fear. Instead, let it become an opportunity for deeper trust. Every step of faith is a declaration that you believe I am working even when evidence is incomplete. Every act of trust strengthens your confidence in my promises. Every moment of surrender creates room for my peace to grow within you. My beloved child, you do not need to see the entire path in order to take the next step. You do not need all the answers before moving forward. You do not need complete certainty before choosing faith. What you need is already available to you, my presence. And my presence is enough. As this new beginning draws closer, there will still be moments when the road ahead seems unclear. There will still be questions you cannot immediately answer. There will still be details that remain hidden. But remember this: you are not walking alone. I am leading you. I am guiding you. I am preparing the way before you. And even when you cannot see the path, my beloved child, you can trust the one who does. My beloved child, there are times when the greatest temptation is to believe that nothing is happening. You look at your circumstances and see little change. You look at your prayers and wonder when the answers will appear. You look at your life and ask yourself if the new beginning I promised is truly on its way. I understand those feelings. I understand the questions that arise during quiet seasons. I understand how difficult it can be to remain hopeful when visible evidence seems limited. But today, I want to invite you to see your life from a different perspective. I want you to understand that some of the most important work I do happens in places you cannot immediately see. Right now, at this very moment, there is hidden work taking place. Even if your eyes cannot perceive it, even if your circumstances have not fully revealed it, even if the results have not yet appeared, I am working. Imagine a massive cathedral being built. Before anyone admires the beauty of the stained glass windows, before visitors walk through the finished halls, before the structure becomes a masterpiece, there is a long period of construction. Workers labor behind walls. Architects study plans. Builders strengthen foundations. Materials are gathered and prepared. To an observer passing by, the process may seem slow. The unfinished structure may not resemble the beautiful vision that exists in the architect's mind. Yet every day, progress is being made. The final masterpiece is taking shape long before it becomes visible. My beloved child, your life is experiencing a similar process. You often focus on what has not happened yet. I focus on what is being prepared. You often focus on what remains incomplete. I focus on what is steadily developing. You often focus on the visible. I work in both, the visible and the invisible. There are prayers you prayed months ago that are still moving through unseen pathways. There are opportunities being prepared that have not yet reached your doorstep. There are people whose paths are gradually aligning with yours. There are lessons still taking root within your heart. There are strengths still being developed within your spirit. Nothing is standing still. The hidden work continues. Think about a seed buried beneath the soil. To anyone standing above the ground, it appears inactive. Days pass. Weeks pass. Nothing seems to change. But beneath the surface, an entire world of activity exists. Roots are forming. Life is awakening. Growth is beginning. The seed is becoming something greater than what it once was. A transformation remains hidden until the appointed time. My beloved child, there are areas of your life where transformation is happening beneath the surface. You may not fully see it yet, but your faith is stronger than it was before. Your understanding is deeper than it was before. Your resilience is greater than it was before. Your relationship with me is richer than it was before. These changes did not happen overnight. They happened through hidden work. Here is another truth I want you to remember. Just because progress is invisible does not mean progress is absent. Many people abandon hope because they expect every answer to arrive immediately. They expect growth to be obvious. They expect preparation to be dramatic. But some of my greatest works unfold quietly. The sunrise begins long before the first rays become visible. The roots strengthen long before the tree grows tall. The foundation is completed long before the building rises. In the same way, the blessings approaching your life often begin developing long before you can recognize them. This is why I ask you not to become discouraged by appearances. Appearances can be deceptive. A quiet season does not mean an empty season. A waiting season does not mean a wasted season. A hidden season does not mean a forgotten season. Sometimes the quietest seasons are the most productive. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs are being prepared during periods that seem ordinary. Sometimes the most significant answers are already moving toward you while you are wondering if they will ever arrive. My beloved child, I know you would like to see more. I know you would like clearer evidence. I know you would like confirmation that everything is unfolding according to my plan. But that is where trust becomes important. Trust allows you to remain hopeful when the process remains unseen. Trust allows you to continue believing when visible proof has not yet arrived. Trust allows you to rest in the knowledge that my work does not stop simply because your eyes cannot detect it. Right now, I am arranging details. Right now, I am opening pathways. Right now, I am strengthening areas of your life that will support your future. Right now, I am removing obstacles you may never even know existed. Right now, I am preparing answers for prayers you thought had been forgotten. The hidden work happening today will eventually become visible tomorrow. The seeds growing beneath the soil will eventually emerge. The foundation being built will eventually support something beautiful. The preparation taking place now will eventually reveal its purpose. So do not lose heart, my beloved child. Do not mistake silence for inactivity. Do not mistake waiting for absence. Do not mistake hidden work for no work. I am moving. I am building. I am preparing. And while you may not yet see the full picture, I promise you this: when the time is right, you will look back and realize that even during the quietest moments, I was working faithfully on your behalf all along. My beloved child, one of the ways I often introduce a new beginning is through the people I place along your path. While you have been focused on circumstances, opportunities, and answers to prayer, I have also been preparing connections that will play an important role in the season ahead. I want you to understand something important today. Not every person in your life was meant to stay forever, and not every meaningful relationship has arrived yet. Sometimes you mourn the people who left without realizing that I am preparing the people who are coming. I know that some departures were painful. I know there were relationships you expected would last longer. I know there were friendships that changed, connections that faded, and people you trusted who disappointed you. There were moments when you questioned why certain individuals could no longer walk beside you. You wondered if you had done something wrong. You wondered why the connection could not remain the way it once was. But my beloved child, just as seasons change, relationships sometimes change as well. This does not mean every ending was a failure. Some people were assigned to a chapter, not the entire story. Some relationships fulfilled their purpose. Some connections taught important lessons. Some individuals helped shape who you are becoming. And once their role was complete, the journey continued. Think about a traveler crossing a vast country. Along the way, he meets many people. Some walk beside him for only a few miles. Some accompany him through entire regions. Some offer guidance at critical moments. Some provide encouragement when the road becomes difficult. Each person serves a purpose, yet not every traveler is meant to remain for the entire journey. The wisdom lies in appreciating each season without clinging to what was never meant to stay forever. My beloved child, I know there are times when loneliness has visited your heart. There were moments when you wished someone truly understood what you were experiencing. There were times when you felt isolated, carrying burdens that seemed invisible to those around you. During those moments, you may have wondered if meaningful connections would ever return. But I want you to know that I have not forgotten your need for companionship, encouragement, and support. Even now, I am preparing relationships for your future. There are conversations that have not happened yet. There are friendships that have not yet begun. There are mentors, encouragers, and companions whose paths are gradually moving toward yours. There are people who will understand parts of your journey because they have walked through similar seasons themselves. There are people who will inspire you. There are people who will challenge you to grow. There are people who will remind you of your worth when you begin to doubt it. And there are people who will celebrate the blessings I bring into your life rather than compete with them. One of the beautiful things about my timing is that I often bring the right people at the right moment. And certain relationships entered your life years ago. You may not have been ready for them. Had they arrived too early, you might not have recognized their value. But now, after everything you have learned, after every lesson you have gained, after every challenge you have survived, you are becoming ready for healthier, stronger, and more meaningful connections. I also want to remind you that the quality of relationships matters more than the quantity. Many people surround themselves with countless voices yet still feel empty. What truly matters is having relationships rooted in sincerity, trust, and mutual encouragement. I am not interested in filling your life with noise. I am interested in surrounding you with people who contribute to your growth, your peace, and your purpose. This may require patience. Not every meaningful connection arrives overnight. Just as seeds need time to grow, relationships often develop gradually. But trust me when I tell you that I understand exactly who belongs in your next season. I know who will strengthen your faith. I know who will support your growth. I know who will encourage your dreams. I know who will help you become the person I created you to be. And I know who cannot accompany you where you are going. That is why some relationships had to end. That is why some connections drifted away. That is why some doors within your social world quietly closed. Not because I wanted to leave you empty, but because I was creating room. Room for healthy relationships. Room for deeper connections. Room for people who align with the season now unfolding before you. My beloved child, do not allow past disappointments to make you fearful of future relationships. Do not allow old wounds to convince you that meaningful connections are impossible. Do not let betrayal from a few people cause you to distrust everyone. The actions of others do not determine what I am able to bring into your life. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit receptive. Keep trusting my guidance. For even now, I am orchestrating meetings, conversations, and connections that will bless your journey in ways you cannot yet imagine. The new beginning ahead of you is not something you must walk through alone. I am walking beside you, and in my perfect timing, I am also bringing the right people alongside you. People who will encourage your future. People who will celebrate your growth. People who will help remind you that you are deeply loved, deeply valued, and never truly alone. Trust me, my beloved child. The relationships I am preparing will arrive at exactly the right time. My beloved child, there are times when you look back on your life and focus primarily on what you lost, what hurt you, or what challenged you. You remember the difficult seasons. You remember the unanswered questions. You remember the battles that exhausted your heart and tested your faith. But today, I want you to look at your journey from a different perspective. I want you to stop looking only at what those seasons took from you and begin noticing what those seasons gave to you. Because the strength you gained was not accidental. The wisdom you gained was not accidental. The resilience you gained was not accidental. Every difficult season contributed something valuable to the person you are becoming. I know there were moments when you wished the struggle would end immediately. There were times when you prayed for an easier path. There were days when you questioned why certain challenges had entered your life at all. Those feelings were understandable. And no one enjoys walking through hardship. No one enjoys uncertainty. No one enjoys pain. Yet some lessons can only be learned through experience. Some strengths can only be developed through resistance. Some forms of growth can only emerge through challenges. Imagine a young tree growing in an open field. If the weather remained perfect every day, if there were no winds, no storms, and no pressure, the tree might grow quickly, but its roots would remain shallow. Then one strong storm could easily uproot it. But when winds come, something remarkable happens. The tree responds by sending its roots deeper into the ground. The pressure that seems threatening actually strengthened its foundation. Over time, the tree becomes capable of withstanding storms that would have destroyed it in its early years. My beloved child, many of the winds you face served a similar purpose. The storms did not arrive because I wanted to harm you. The challenges did not appear because I wanted you to suffer. Those experiences became opportunities for deeper roots. They strengthened parts of you that comfort alone could never have developed. Think about who you were before some of those difficult seasons began. You had faith, but now your faith is deeper. You had courage, but now your courage is stronger. You had compassion, but now your compassion is richer. You had hope, but now your hope has survived testing. The person listening to my voice today carries strengths that did not exist before. You may not always recognize them because you live with yourself every day, Growth often feels gradual when you experience it firsthand. But I see the difference. I see how far you have come. I see the battles you survived. I see the moments when giving up seemed easier, yet you kept moving forward. I see the tears you cried while continuing to trust me. I see the quiet victories that no one else noticed. And I want you to know that none of it was wasted. There is a blacksmith who shapes metal into a sword. Before the sword becomes useful, it must endure fire. It must endure pressure. It must be refined repeatedly. The process is demanding. The process is uncomfortable. Yet without the process, the sword would never possess the strength required for its purpose. My beloved child, some of the refining seasons you experienced were preparing you for responsibilities, opportunities, and blessings that require greater strength than you once possessed. The new beginning ahead of you is not meant for the person you were years ago. It is meant for the person you are becoming now. That is why the preparation mattered. That is why the lessons mattered. That is why the growth mattered. There are challenges ahead that would have overwhelmed the old version of you. But the person you are today is different. You have learned how to recover from disappointment. You have learned how to keep believing when answers are delayed. You have learned how to continue moving forward when circumstances are uncertain. You have learned how to find peace in the middle of storms. These strengths are treasures. Do not overlook them. Do not minimize them. Do not dismiss them simply because they develop slowly. Sometimes you compare yourself to others and focus on areas where you feel lacking. You notice what someone else has accomplished. You notice strengths they possess. You notice progress they seem to have made. But comparison often blinds you to your own growth. Instead of comparing yourself to someone else's journey, compare yourself to the person you used to be. Notice how much stronger you have become. Notice how much wiser you have become. Notice how much more resilient you have become. Notice how much more capable you are of handling situations that once overwhelmed you. My beloved child, the strength you gained was not an accident of circumstance. It was part of a larger purpose. I have been preparing you. I have been equipping you. I have been developing qualities that will support the future I have planned for you. The storms did not define you. The setbacks did not defeat you. The hardships did not destroy you. Instead, they revealed strengths that were waiting to emerge. And now, as your new beginning draws closer, you will begin to discover why this strength was necessary. The opportunities ahead require it. The blessings ahead will benefit from it. The purpose ahead depends upon it. So hold your head high, my beloved child. You are stronger than you know. You are more prepared than you realize. And every step of your journey has been shaping you for the beautiful season that is now beginning to unfold before you. My beloved child, there is a voice that has tried to accompany you through many seasons of your life. It does not always speak loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it disguises itself as logic. Sometimes it sounds like caution. But beneath its many forms, its purpose remains the same, to make you question what I have spoken over your life. That voice is doubt. Doubt has a way of appearing at critical moments. It often arrives when you are standing near a breakthrough. It appears when new opportunities begin to emerge. It shows up when healing starts to take root. It whispers when you are preparing to take a step of faith. His message is always similar. What if it doesn't work? What if nothing changes? What if you're not ready? What if you're not capable? What if you're hoping for too much? My beloved child, I know those questions because I have heard them echo through your thoughts. I know there have been times when doubt felt stronger than confidence. There have been moments when your past failures seemed more believable than future possibilities. There have been seasons when your fears spoke louder than your faith. But today I want to remind you of something important. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every thought deserves your agreement. Not every fear deserves your belief. There is a difference between listening and agreeing. A thought may enter your mind, but you do not have to make it your truth. A fear may knock on the door of your heart, but you do not have to invite it inside. Doubt becomes powerful only when it is allowed to remain unchallenged. Imagine a gardener who spends months planting beautiful flowers. He waters them carefully. He protects them. He tends to them faithfully. Then one day, weeds begin to appear. If the gardener ignores them, the weeds gradually spread. They compete with the flowers. They steal nutrients from the soil. They interfere with healthy growth. But if the gardener removes them early, the flowers continue flourishing. My beloved child, doubt is often like those weeds. If left unchecked, it begins to compete with hope. It begins to compete with faith. It begins to compete with the truth I have spoken over your life. That is why you must learn to recognize it for what it is. Doubt says, nothing good is coming. I say, a new beginning is already unfolding. Doubt says, you are not strong enough. I say, I have been strengthening you for this very season. Doubt says, your past defines your future. I say, your future is being shaped by my purpose, not by your past. Doubt says, you have failed too many times. I say, your mistakes are not greater than my grace. My beloved child, whose voice will you believe? There was once a young musician preparing for an important performance. He had practiced for years. He had developed his skills. He had prepared carefully. Yet moments before stepping onto the stage, fear and doubt began speaking to him. They reminded him of every mistake he had ever made. They replayed old failures in his mind. They convinced him that he was not ready. For a moment, he believed them. Then he remembered something important. The voice of doubt had never helped him grow. It had never helped him succeed. It had never helped him move forward. The years of preparation told a different story. The effort he invested told a different story. The progress he made told a different story. So he stepped onto the stage despite his doubts. And he discovered that the voice of doubt had been lying all along. My beloved child, many of your doubts are telling incomplete stories. They focus on your weaknesses while ignoring your growth. They focus on your mistakes while ignoring your lessons. They focus on your fears while ignoring my faithfulness. They focus on what could go wrong while ignoring everything I've already brought you through. I need you to remember that confidence does not come from believing you can control every outcome. True confidence comes from trusting me. It comes from knowing that even if challenges arise, I will remain with you. It comes from understanding that your future does not rest solely upon your strength. It rests upon my guidance, my provision, and my faithfulness. You do not have to be perfect to move forward. You do not have to eliminate every fear before taking the next step. You do not have to possess complete certainty before embracing your new beginning. You simply need to trust my voice more than the voice of doubt. The reason doubt is becoming louder right now is because your future is becoming closer. The reason uncertainty is trying to gain your attention is because growth is happening. The reason fear keeps returning is because it senses that its influence is weakening. My beloved child, the voice of doubt has occupied enough space in your life. It has stolen enough peace. It has delayed enough opportunities. It has questioned enough promises. Now it is time for a different voice to guide you. My voice. The voice that reminds you of your worth. the voice that reminds you of your purpose, a voice that reminds you of my love, the voice that reminds you that you are capable of more than you currently realize. As this new beginning approaches, choose carefully which voice you follow. A voice of doubt will always point toward limitation. My voice will always point toward possibility. And when you choose to believe what I say about you, you will discover that many of the bearers you feared were never bearers at all. They were simply shadows that disappeared the moment you step into the light of truth. My beloved child, there have been moments when you looked at your life and quietly wondered if the most important chapters were already behind you. You looked at the years that have passed. You remembered opportunities that slipped away. You remembered dreams that did not unfold as expected. You remembered seasons of struggle, loss, and disappointment. And somewhere deep inside, a question began to form. What if this is all there is? What if nothing significant changes from here? What if the story has already reached its highest point? My beloved child, I want to answer those questions today with absolute certainty. Your story is still being written. The chapter you are currently living is not the final chapter. The page is not ended. The journey is not concluded. The purpose I placed within you is not expired. Far too often, people mistake a difficult season for a permanent destination. They experience a setback and assume the story is over. They encounter disappointment and believe the future has been decided. They face delays and conclude that their opportunities have passed them by. But I do not write stories the way human beings do. Where people see endings, I often see beginnings. Where people see failure, I often see preparation. Where people see closed doors, I often see new pathways waiting to be discovered. Imagine an author working on a great book. A reader opens the manuscript and begins reading from the middle. At that particular point in the story, the main character faces enormous challenges. Dreams appear shattered. Obstacles seem impossible to overcome. Nothing makes sense. If the reader stopped there, they might believe the story ends in defeat. But the author knows something the reader does not know. The story is not finished. There are chapters still unwritten. There are victories still ahead. There are lessons still unfolding. There are beautiful moments yet to come. My beloved child, I am the author who sees every chapter of your life at once. I see where you have been. I see where you are now. And I see where you are going. The challenges you face today are not the complete story. The pain you experienced is not the complete story. The uncertainty you feel is not the complete story. There is more. There is always more when I am involved. I know there are dreams within your heart that have been waiting for a long time. Some of those dreams have become quiet. Some have been buried beneath years of waiting. Some have been hidden behind layers of disappointment. Yet even now, I have not forgotten them. I remember every prayer. I remember every hope. I remember every promise that encouraged your heart during difficult seasons. Just because something has taken longer than expected does not mean it has disappeared from my plans. Some stories require time to develop. Some purposes require preparation. Some blessings require growth before they can be fully received. Think about a painter standing before a canvas. In the early stages, the painting may appear unfinished and confusing. Certain colors seem out of place. Certain lines seem disconnected. The image is difficult to understand. But the painter sees the finished masterpiece long before anyone else does. Every brushstroke has purpose. Every detail contributes to the final picture. My beloved child, there are moments in your life that currently seem disconnected. Certain experiences may not make sense. Certain delays may still feel confusing. Certain hardships may still leave unanswered questions. but I see the completed picture. I know how every detail fits together. I know how every lesson contributes to your growth. I know how every challenge strengthens your future. I know how every chapter leads to the next. That is why I need you to resist the temptation to judge your story too early. Do not declare defeat while I am still writing. Do not abandon hope while new chapters are still unfolding. Do not assume the ending before the journey is complete. There is still purpose ahead. There is still joy ahead. There is still healing ahead. There is still growth ahead. There are still surprises ahead. There are still blessings you have not imagined. The new beginning I have promised is not merely an improvement to your current circumstances. It is part of a larger story that continues unfolding day by day. You are entering a chapter that could not have existed without everything that came before it. The lessons you learn matter. The strength you gain matters. The wisdom you developed matters. The faith you cultivated matters. Nothing has been wasted. Everything is being woven together into a story greater than you currently understand. So when doubt tries to convince you that nothing more is coming, remember this truth. Your story is still being written. When fear tells you that your opportunities are gone, remember this truth. Your story is still being written. When disappointment tries to define your future, remember this truth. Your story is still being written. My beloved child, the pen is still moving. The pages are still turning. The chapters are still unfolding. And the author of your story has not finished his work. The best parts of the journey may still be ahead of you. So keep believing. Keep trusting. Keep walking forward. Because the story I am writing with your life is far from over, and the next chapter holds more hope, more purpose, and more beauty than you can currently see. My beloved child, there are parts of your story that you still do not fully understand. There are moments you wish had never happened. There are memories you would gladly erase if given the opportunity. There are seasons you never would have chosen for yourself. When you look back on those experiences, it can be difficult to see anything positive within them. You remember the pain. You remember the confusion. You remember the disappointment. You remember the nights when your heart felt heavy and your future seemed uncertain. And because those moments hurt so deeply, you may sometimes wonder if they served any purpose at all. But today, I want to reveal something that can bring hope to your heart. What was meant for harm will become good. Not because the pain itself was good. Not because the betrayal was good. Not because the loss was good. But because I am able to bring redemption from places that seem broken. I am able to create beauty where others see ashes. I am able to bring purpose from experiences that appear meaningless. I am able to take what was intended to discourage you and transform it into something that strengthens you. Imagine a skilled artist gathering broken pieces of colored glass. Individually, the fragments appear useless. Some are sharp. Some are cracked. Some seem beyond repair. Yet the artist sees something different. Piece by piece, he begins placing them together. Over time, those broken fragments become a beautiful stained glass window. Light shines through them. Colors emerge. Beauty appears where brokenness once existed. My beloved child, there are broken pieces in your story that I am still arranging. You may only see the fragments. I see the masterpiece. You may only see what was lost. I see what can still be created. You may only see the wound. I see the healing that is already beginning. There were people who underestimated you. There were situations that wounded your confidence. There were moments when others failed to recognize your value. Some experiences left scars you never expected to carry. And yet, despite all of that, you are still here. You are still growing. You are still moving forward. You are still becoming the person I created you to be. That alone is evidence of my work within you. Many people believe that redemption means pretending that pain never happened. But true redemption is something deeper. True redemption means the pain no longer has the final word. True redemption means the wound becomes a source of wisdom. True redemption means the struggle produces strength. True redemption means the setback becomes preparation. True redemption means that what once threatened to destroy you becomes part of the testimony that inspires others. Think about a river flowing around large rocks. The rocks stand in its path. They appear to block its movement. Yet the river does not stop. It adapts. It continues. It finds a way forward. And in time, even the obstacles become part of the beauty of the landscape. My beloved child, there were obstacles in your life that seemed impossible to overcome. At the time, you thought they would stop your progress forever. You thought they would permanently alter your future. Yet here you are. The obstacle did not have the final word. The disappointment did not have the final word. The betrayal did not have the final word. The failure did not have the final word. Because I was still writing the story. There are lessons you now carry because of those experiences. You have greater compassion because you know what pain feels like. You have greater understanding because you have walked through uncertainty. You have greater empathy because you have experienced loss. You have greater resilience because you refuse to surrender. The very experiences that once seemed determined to break you have contributed to your growth. This does not mean every answer is visible yet. There may still be questions. There may still be mysteries. There may still be parts of your journey that do not fully make sense. But trust me when I tell you that I am still working. Redemption is not always immediate. Sometimes it unfolds gradually. Sometimes the good emerges one step at a time. Sometimes understanding arrives years after the event itself. But my ability to bring good from difficult circumstances has never diminished. Even now, I am transforming things you cannot yet fully see. I am healing wounds. I am restoring confidence. I am rebuilding hope. I am creating opportunities from previous disappointments. I am preparing blessings from places where loss once lived. My beloved child, do not allow painful memories to convince you that your future must resemble your past. Do not allow old wounds to become permanent predictions. Do not allow yesterday's struggles to determine tomorrow's expectations. The new beginning I am bringing into your life is proof that your story is not trapped by what happened before. You are moving forward. You are growing stronger. You are becoming wiser. You are becoming freer. And one day, you will look back and realize that many of the things that once seemed meaningless became stepping stones toward something beautiful. What was meant to discourage you strengthened you. What was meant to stop you prepared you. What was meant to harm you became part of your healing. For I am a God who specializes in redemption, my beloved child. And even now, I am turning pieces of your story into something more beautiful than you ever imagined possible. My beloved child, there comes a moment in every journey when the road that once seemed familiar can no longer take you where you need to go. The path that served you in one season may not be the path required for the next. The direction that once felt comfortable may no longer align with the future I am preparing for you. And when that moment arrives, I begin opening new paths. That is what I am doing in your life right now. Even if you cannot fully see it yet, even if the signs appear small, even if uncertainty still surrounds some areas of your journey, I am opening new paths before you. Many people imagine new beginnings as dramatic events. They expect sudden changes, immediate clarity, and unmistakable signs. Sometimes those things happen, but often, new paths begin quietly. They begin with a new idea, a new perspective, a new opportunity, a new conversation, a new sense of direction. At first, the change may seem small, yet over time, that single step leads to an entirely different future. Imagine a traveler standing at the edge of a forest. Before him are many trails. Some are familiar because he has walked them before. Others are unknown. The familiar trails feel safe because he already knows where they lead. The unfamiliar path feels uncertain. It requires trust. It requires courage. It requires the willingness to move forward without complete certainty. Yet hidden along that unfamiliar path are discoveries, opportunities, and experiences that cannot be found anywhere else. My beloved child, I know there are parts of your life where you feel that same uncertainty. You sense that change is coming. You sense that something new is unfolding. Yet because the future is not fully visible, part of you hesitates. You wonder whether you are ready. You wonder whether the path is correct. You wonder whether the risks are worth taking. But I want you to remember something important. The new paths I open are not meant to harm you. They are meant to lead you closer to your purpose. Every season of your life has been preparing you for what comes next. The lessons you learned were not random. The strength you gained was not accidental. The wisdom you developed was not unnecessary. Everything has been contributing to this moment. And now, because of who you are becoming, you are ready to explore paths that once seemed impossible. There was a time when certain opportunities would have overwhelmed you. There was a time when certain responsibilities would have felt too heavy. There was a time when certain blessings would have arrived before your character was prepared to sustain them. But you are no longer that person. You have grown. You have matured. You have learned. And because of that growth, new possibilities are becoming available. Sometimes people spend so much time looking at closed doors that they fail to notice newly opened paths. They remain focused on what did not happen. They remain attached to old expectations. They remain convinced that blessings must arrive in familiar forms. As a result, they overlook the fresh opportunities standing right in front of them. My beloved child, I do not want you to miss what I am doing because you are still staring at what has already passed. Lift your eyes. Look ahead. Pay attention to the subtle ways I am guiding you. Pay attention to the new desires I am placing within your heart. Pay attention to the opportunities that create peace rather than confusion. Pay attention to the doors that open naturally rather than those that require constant struggle to force open. I often guide my children through gentle direction rather than dramatic announcements. A single conversation can alter a future. A single opportunity can create a new season. A single act of obedience can unlock blessings that were waiting just beyond the horizon. You do not need to know every detail before taking the next step. You simply need to remain willing. Willing to trust. Willing to learn. Willing to move forward when I lead. There will be moments when the new path feels unfamiliar. That is normal. Every meaningful journey contains unfamiliar territory. Growth always involves stepping beyond what is comfortable. But remember this: unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. New does not mean wrong. Different does not mean dangerous. If I am leading you, you can walk forward with confidence. Even now, I am arranging opportunities you have not yet encountered. I am creating connections you have not yet made. I am opening doors you have not yet seen. I am preparing answers that have not yet arrived. The future is larger than your current perspective. The possibilities ahead are greater than your present understanding. The path unfolding before you contains blessings you cannot yet fully imagine. My beloved child, do not be afraid of the new paths appearing before you. Do not cling so tightly to yesterday that you miss what is arriving today. Do not allow uncertainty to prevent movement. Trust me, the road ahead may not look exactly as you expected. It may contain surprises. It may contain opportunities you never considered. It may lead you through places you never planned to visit. But if you follow my guidance, it will lead you exactly where you need to be. For I am opening new paths before you. Paths of growth. Paths of purpose. Paths of healing. Paths of blessing. And with every step you take, you are moving closer to the beautiful new beginning I have been preparing for you all along. My beloved child, one of the greatest obstacles to a new beginning is not always fear of the future. Sometimes it is attachment to the past. Sometimes it is the habit of turning around and staring at doors that have already closed. I know how tempting that can be. You remember what could have been. You remember the plans that did not unfold the way you expected. You remember the opportunities that slipped away. You remember the relationships that ended. You remember the moments when your heart broke and your dreams seemed delayed. And because those experiences mattered to you, part of your heart continues returning to them, searching for answers, searching for reasons, searching for a different ending. But today, my beloved child, I want to lovingly tell you something that may change the way you view your journey. Stop looking back at closed doors. Not because those chapters were unimportant. Not because those experiences did not shape you. But because your future cannot be fully embraced while your attention remains trapped in yesterday. Imagine a traveler walking toward a beautiful mountain destination. The path ahead is clear. The sun is rising. Opportunities await him. Yet instead of looking forward, he spends his entire journey looking over his shoulder. Every few steps he stops. He stares at the road behind him. He visits places he has already left. He focuses on what is no longer part of his journey. Eventually, he becomes exhausted, not because the path ahead is difficult, but because he is trying to move forward while constantly facing backward. My beloved child, there have been times when you have done something similar. You have carried old disappointments into new opportunities. You have brought yesterday's fears into today's possibilities. You have measured future blessings against past losses. You have continued asking questions about doors I already closed. And while you were doing that, new doors quietly began opening ahead of you. The problem was not that opportunities were absent. The problem was that your attention remained fixed on what was behind you. I understand why. Closed doors often leave unanswered questions. You want to know why things happened. You want to know why certain people left. You want to know why certain dreams had changed. You want to know why some prayers seemed unanswered. Those questions are natural. But there comes a point when constantly revisiting the past stops producing wisdom and starts producing limitation. Here is a difference between remembering and remaining. Remembering allows you to learn. Remaining keeps you stuck. Remembering helps you grow. Remaining prevents movement. Remembering honors the lessons. Remaining chains you to old chapters. My beloved child, there are some doors I closed because they were not part of your future. There are some opportunities I allowed to pass because they would have distracted you from your purpose. There are some relationships that ended because they could not accompany you into the season ahead. At the time, those closures felt painful. At the time, they felt confusing. At the time, they felt unfair. But I could see what you could not see. I could see the path ahead. I could see the blessings ahead. I could see the growth ahead. I could see the future that was waiting beyond the closed door. Think about a gardener pruning a tree. To someone unfamiliar with the process, it may appear destructive. Healthy branches are removed. Parts of the tree are cut away. It can seem as though something valuable is being lost. But the gardener understands a deeper truth. Pruning creates room for greater growth. The removal serves a purpose. The temporary loss contributes to future fruitfulness. My beloved child, some of the closed doors in your life were acts of pruning. Not punishment. Not rejection. Gavrayan. I was making room. I was creating space. I was guiding you towards something better suited for the person you are becoming. And now, as you stand on the edge of a new season, I need you to stop measuring your future by what happened behind you. Do not assume every opportunity will end the way previous opportunities ended. Do not assume every relationship will resemble previous relationships. Do not assume every chapter must follow the same pattern as the last. You are not living in the same season anymore. You are not the same person anymore. You have grown. You have learned. You have healed. You have become stronger. And because you have changed, your future can be different as well. Every moment spent staring at a closed door is a moment you cannot fully appreciate the open path before you. Every moment spent mourning what is gone is a moment that could be spent recognizing what is arriving. My beloved child, I am not asking you to erase your memories. I am asking you to release your attachment. I am asking you to trust that if a door closed, I had a reason. I am asking you to believe that my plans for your future are greater than your understanding of the past. Lift your eyes. Look ahead. Notice the opportunities emerging. Notice the healing taking place. Notice the hope returning. Notice the new beginning unfolding. The doors behind you have already served their purpose. The lessons have already been learned. The chapter has already ended. Now it is time to step forward. Because the future I have prepared for you is waiting ahead, not behind. And my beloved child, some of the most beautiful doors of your life have not yet been opened. They are still waiting for you to stop looking back long enough to walk toward them. My beloved child, there are burdens you have carried for so long that you almost forgot what it feels like to live without them. They became part of your daily routine. They traveled with you through every season. You learned how to function while carrying them, how to smile while carrying them, how to keep moving forward while carrying them. Yet just because you became accustomed to the weight does not mean you were meant to carry it forever. Today, I want you to hear my heart clearly. The weight you have carried is being lifted. I know the burdens you have been carrying. I know the responsibilities that have stretched your strength. I know the worries that have occupied your thoughts. I know the fears that have stolen your peace. I know the unanswered questions that have followed you from one season into the next. I know the silent pressures that few people around you fully understand. There were moments when you felt exhausted, not because you lacked determination, but because you were carrying more than one heart was ever designed to carry alone. My beloved child, I never intended for you to carry every burden by yourself. Here is a difference between responsibility and unnecessary weight. Responsibility helps you grow. Unnecessary weight drains your spirit. Responsibility teaches wisdom. Unnecessary weight steals joy. Responsibility moves you forward. Unnecessary weight keeps you trapped in constant exhaustion. Many times, you have accepted burdens that do not belong to you. You have carried the expectations of others. You have carried guilt that I already forgave. You have carried fears about tomorrow that have not happened. You have carried the opinions of people who do not determine your worth. You have carried regrets from decisions that cannot be changed. And while you were carrying all of these things, your heart became tired. Imagine a traveler crossing a desert with a heavy pack on his back. At the beginning of the journey, the weight seems manageable. But as the miles pass, the burden grows heavier. The traveler becomes slower. His energy fades. His joy disappears. Then one day, someone examines the pack and discovers that many of the items inside are unnecessary. Broken tools, empty containers, objects with no purpose, weight that never needed to be carried. The traveler had become so accustomed to the burden that he forgot he could set it down. My beloved child, there are burdens in your life that I am asking you to release. Not because your concerns are unimportant, not because your challenges are imaginary, but because some of the weight you carry was never assigned to you. You were never meant to carry tomorrow before it arrives. You were never meant to carry every possible outcome in your mind. You were never meant to carry responsibility for things beyond your control. You were never meant to carry shame after forgiveness was already given. You were never meant to carry every win forever. I know that letting go can feel difficult. Sometimes burdens become familiar. Even painful patterns can begin to feel comfortable simply because they are familiar. But familiarity is not freedom. And I want freedom for you. Here is the story of a bird that spent years inside a cage. The cage door eventually opened, yet the bird remained inside. Not because it lacked the ability to fly, but because it had become accustomed to confinement. The freedom was available. The open sky was waiting. Yet the bird hesitated because it had forgotten what freedom felt like. My beloved child, I do not want you living inside burdens that I am inviting you to leave behind. The open sky of peace is waiting for you. The freedom of trust is waiting for you. The joy of surrender is waiting for you. I am not asking you to ignore reality. I am asking you to trust me with the parts of reality that you cannot control. There is great peace in understanding that you do not have to solve every problem today. There is great freedom in understanding that not every outcome depends on you. There is great rest in understanding that I am still working even when you are unable to see the results. Many of the things that currently worry you are already in my hands. Many of the questions that trouble you are already known to me. Many of the situations that seem uncertain are already being guided by my wisdom. You do not have to carry them all. You only need to walk with me, step by step, day by day, moment by moment. As you move into this new beginning, one of the greatest gifts I want to give you is relief. Relief from constant anxiety. Relief from unnecessary pressure. Relief from old burdens. Relief from carrying responsibilities that do not belong to you. The new season ahead is not meant to be entered with a weary spirit. It is meant to be entered with renewed strength. That is why I am lifting weight from your shoulders. I am bringing peace where worry once lived. I am bringing rest where exhaustion once lived. I am bringing confidence where uncertainty once lived. The burden is becoming lighter. The pressure is beginning to break. The heaviness is starting to lift. And as it does, my beloved child, you will discover something beautiful. You were never meant to merely survive your journey. You were meant to walk through it with hope, peace, and trust. So release what you cannot carry. Surrender what you cannot control. And allow me to do what I have always promised to do. Carry you forward into the new beginning that is already drawing near. My beloved child, there are wounds that affect the heart, and there are wounds that affect the way you see yourself. Some experiences leave marks that are not visible on the outside but quietly influence the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you approach the future. One of the things that difficult seasons often try to steal is confidence. Not confidence rooted in pride, not confidence rooted in self-importance, but the healthy confidence that allows you to believe that you can move forward, grow, and embrace the opportunities I place before you. I know there were moments that shook your confidence. There were failures that made you question your abilities. There were disappointments that made you question your expectations. There were rejections that made you question your worth. There were mistakes that made you question your judgment. Little by little, certain experiences began convincing you to think smaller than you once did. You became more cautious, more hesitant, more uncertain. Not because you lacked potential, but because pain had taught you to protect yourself. My beloved child, I understand why that happened. When a person experiences disappointment repeatedly, they often begin lowering their expectations. They stop dreaming as boldly. They stop believing as freely. They stop trusting their ability to move forward successfully. It becomes easier to expect less than to risk being disappointed again. But I did not create you to live trapped by old disappointments. I did not create you to spend your life shrinking back from possibilities. I did not create you to constantly question the value I placed within you. Today, I want you to hear my voice clearly. I am restoring lost confidence, not by pretending your past never happened, not by erasing every mistake, but by helping you see yourself through my eyes instead of through the lens of your failures. Imagine a skilled sculptor standing before a block of stone. To most people, the stone appears ordinary. Some may see imperfections. Some may see rough edges. Some may see nothing remarkable at all. But the sculptor sees potential. He sees beauty hidden within the stone. He sees what it can become. He sees the masterpiece before anyone else does. My beloved child, I see you in that same way. While you focus on flaws, I see growth. While you focus on mistakes, I see lessons learned. While you focus on failures, I see perseverance. While you focus on what went wrong, I see how far you have come. The problem is not that you lack value. The problem is that you have sometimes judged yourself by incomplete information. You have measured your future based on temporary setbacks. You have allowed difficult moments to become permanent labels. You have mistaken a chapter for the entire story. But one failure does not define a life. One mistake does not determine a destiny. One disappointment does not cancel a purpose. There is a difference between falling and being defeated. Everyone falls. Everyone stumbles. Everyone experiences seasons where things do not go according to plan. The difference lies in whether you choose to rise again. And my beloved child, you have risen more times than you realize. You survived seasons that could have broken you. You endured challenges that once seemed impossible. You continued moving forward even when the road was difficult. That is not weakness. That is strength. That is resilience. That is evidence of growth. Think about a child learning to walk. The child falls repeatedly. There are stumbles, missteps, and moments of frustration. Yet no loving parent watches those early falls and concludes that the child will never walk. The parent sees the process. The parent understands that every attempt contributes to growth. The parent celebrates progress rather than focusing on imperfections. My beloved child, I view your journey with that same loving perspective. I do not expect perfection. I celebrate growth. I celebrate effort. I celebrate faithfulness. I celebrate every time you choose to stand up after life tries to knock you down. The confidence I am restoring is not based on the belief that you will never face challenges again. It is based on the knowledge that you are capable of facing them with my help. It is based on understanding that you have already overcome more than you once believed possible. It is based on recognizing that the same strength that carried you through previous seasons still lives within you today. As this new beginning approaches, I do not want you entering it with a defeated mindset. I do not want you expecting failure before you even begin. I do not want old disappointments making decisions for your future. I want you to step forward with confidence. Confidence that you are loved. Confidence that you are growing. Confidence that you are capable. Confidence that I am with you. The opportunities ahead require this renewed confidence. The doors opening before you require it. The purpose unfolding within your life requires it. That is why I am rebuilding what previous seasons tried to diminish. I am reminding you of your worth. I am reminding you of your strength. I am reminding you of your potential. I am reminding you of who you are. My beloved child, you are not defined by what happened to you. You are not defined by what went wrong. You are not defined by your worst moment. You are defined by the love I have for you and the purpose I have placed within you. So lift your head. Raise your eyes. Believe again. For the confidence you thought was lost is being restored, and the person stepping into this new beginning will be stronger, wiser, and more courageous than ever before. My beloved child, there were seasons when you felt uncertain about your direction. You looked at your life and wondered why certain things happened. You questioned why some doors opened while others closed. You asked why certain struggles appeared again and again. At times, it felt as though you were walking through a fog, unable to clearly see where the road was leading. I know those moments well. I heard every question. I saw every moment of confusion. I watched you search for meaning in situations that seemed difficult to understand. And while you were searching for answers, something important was happening beneath the surface. Your purpose was becoming clearer. Purpose is rarely revealed all at once. Most people imagine purpose as a sudden revelation, a dramatic moment where every question is instantly answered and every detail becomes clear. But more often, purpose unfolds gradually. It reveals itself through experiences, through lessons, through growth, through seasons of both joy and challenge. Imagine a sculptor creating a beautiful statue from a large block of stone. In the beginning, the shape is hidden. To an observer, the stone looks ordinary. They cannot see what the sculptor sees. But with each careful strike, something unnecessary is removed. With each stage of the process, the image becomes clearer. Little by little, the masterpiece emerges. My beloved child, your life has been experiencing a similar process. Certain experiences remove distractions. Certain seasons remove false assumptions. Certain challenges removed weaknesses. Certain lessons revealed strengths you never knew you possessed. And with each passing season, the purpose I placed within you has become more visible. You may not fully recognize it yet because you are still living the journey. But when I look at your life, I see connections that you cannot yet see. I see how your struggles develop compassion. I see how your disappointments develop wisdom. I see how your waiting developed patience. I see how your healing developed understanding. Nothing has been random. Nothing has been meaningless. Every chapter contributed something important. Many times, people search for purpose in distant places while overlooking what is already developing within them. They assume purpose must be grand and dramatic. They assume it must look exactly like someone else's journey. They assume purpose arrives fully formed. But purpose often begins with small acts of faithfulness. It begins with the gifts I have already placed within you. It begins with the ways you encourage others. It begins with the lessons you have learned. It begins with the unique perspective your journey has given you. My beloved child, there are things you can do that others cannot do in the same way. There are people you can reach because of your experiences. There are words you can speak because of what you have survived. There are lessons you can share because of what you have learned. There is value in your story. There is meaning in your journey. There is purpose in your growth. Think about a river flowing toward the ocean. At times, the river bends. It changes direction. It passes through valleys and around obstacles. To someone observing a single section of the river, the path may seem random. But from above, the entire route makes sense. Every turn contributes to the destination. Every curve serves a purpose. My beloved child, there were turns in your life that confused you. There were detours you did not expect. There were changes you did not plan. Yet from my perspective, the path still makes sense. I have been guiding you even through the bends. I have been leading you even through the uncertainty. I have been shaping your purpose even when you could not recognize it. The beautiful thing about this new beginning is that clarity is increasing. You are beginning to understand yourself more deeply. You are beginning to recognize your strengths more clearly. You are beginning to see how your experiences fit together. You are beginning to notice patterns that once seemed hidden. The fog is lifting. The path is becoming clearer. Not because every question has been answered, but because your trust is growing. You no longer need perfect understanding in order to move forward. You no longer need complete certainty before taking the next step. You are learning to trust my guidance, and that trust is allowing your purpose to unfold more naturally. My beloved child, do not become discouraged if you still have unanswered questions. Purpose is not a destination you reach once and never revisit. Purpose is a journey of continual discovery. Each season reveals new layers. Each chapter reveals new opportunities. Each step reveals new understanding. The important thing is not that you know everything today. The important thing is that you continue walking with me. As you do, I will continue revealing what you need to know. I will continue opening the right doors. I will continue highlighting the gifts I placed within you. I will continue guiding you toward the future I prepared long before you were aware of it. Your purpose is not lost. Your calling is not forgotten. Your journey is not meaningless. In fact, my beloved child, your purpose is becoming clearer with every step you take. And as this new beginning unfolds, you will begin to see more and more of the beautiful reason I have been guiding you through every season of your life. My beloved child, there is something about waiting that can make time feel longer than it really is. When you are hoping for change, every day can seem stretched. When you are praying for answers, every delay can feel significant. When you are longing for a new beginning, it is easy to become focused on how much time has already passed. And because of that, many people reach a dangerous conclusion. They begin to believe that because something has not happened yet, it never will. They begin to lower their expectations. They begin to prepare themselves for disappointment. They begin to settle into the belief that nothing will change. But today, my beloved child, I want you to remember a truth that has surprised countless hearts throughout history. The breakthrough often comes before you expect it. The answer often arrives when hope feels weakest. The door often opens after a long season of waiting. The sunrise often appears when the night feels darkest. This is why I do not want you to give up simply because you have not yet seen the result. Many of the greatest changes in life happen gradually and then suddenly. Think about a seed planted in the ground. For weeks, perhaps even months, there seems to be little visible activity. The soil looks unchanged. The field appears quiet. Anyone observing from the outside might assume nothing is happening. Yet beneath the surface, roots are spreading. Life is developing. Growth is occurring. Then one day, a small green shoot breaks through the soil. What appears sudden was actually the result of a long period of hidden preparation. My beloved child, your life is experiencing a similar process. You have spent so much time focusing on what is not visible that you may be overlooking what is already developing beneath the surface. The new beginning I promised is not waiting to be created. It is already being prepared. The breakthrough is not starting someday. The breakthrough is already moving toward you. The answers are not forgotten. The opportunities are not lost. The blessings are not delayed by accident. Everything is unfolding according to a timing larger than your current perspective. I know there were moments when you became discouraged. You looked at the calendar. You counted the months. You counted the years. You measured the distance between where you are and where you hope to be. And because progress seemed slow, you questioned whether anything was changing at all. But I want you to imagine a person standing before a giant dam. For years, water collects behind it. Day after day, more water gathers. The pressure continues increasing. From the outside, the wall appears unchanged. Everything looks stable. Everything looks the same. Yet beneath the surface, forces are building. Then suddenly, the release comes. The water rushes forward with tremendous power. What appears sudden was actually the result of a long accumulation. My beloved child, there are blessings accumulating. There are answers accumulating. There are opportunities accumulating. There are lessons accumulating. There are moments of preparation accumulating. And when the appointed time arrives, you will begin seeing the results of everything that has been developing behind the scenes. This is why I need you to remain hopeful. Not because every day feels easy. Not because every answer has arrived. But because hope allows you to stay connected to possibility. Hope keeps your heart open. Hope allows you to recognize opportunities when they appear. Hope prevents disappointment from becoming your permanent expectation. The enemy often wants you to become discouraged just before a breakthrough. He wants you to stop believing. He wants you to stop expecting. He wants you to assume that waiting means failure. Because if he can convince you to surrender your hope, he can keep you focused on what has not happened instead of what is about to happen. But my beloved child, do not allow temporary silence to convince you that permanent change is impossible. Do not allow a delayed answer to become evidence of abandonment. Do not allow today's uncertainty to define tomorrow's outcome. Remember all the ways I have carried you before. Remember the prayers I have already answered. Remember the obstacles you have already overcome. Remember the moments when I provided exactly what you needed at exactly the right time. The same faithfulness that sustained you then is sustaining you now. The same wisdom that guided you then is guiding you now. The same love that carried you then is carrying you now. As this new beginning draws closer, there will be moments when you feel tempted to doubt. There will be moments when impatience tries to steal your peace. There will be moments when circumstances appear unchanged. When those moments come, remember this message. Remember that hidden growth is still growth. Remember that preparation is still progress. Remember that silence does not mean inactivity. Remember that breakthroughs often arrive closer than people realize. My beloved child, do not measure your future by your current view. Do not judge the entire journey by one season of waiting. Lift your eyes and keep moving forward. The seeds are growing. The doors are preparing to open. The answers are drawing nearer. The path is unfolding. and the breakthrough you have been waiting for may be much closer than you think. Trust me. Continue believing. Continue hoping. For the new beginning I promised is no longer a distant possibility. It is becoming a reality, and every step you take is bringing you closer to the moment when you will finally see what I have been preparing all along. My beloved child, after every long winter, spring eventually arrives. After every night, morning comes. After every season of dryness, rain returns. This rhythm is woven into creation itself, and it is also woven into the journey of your life. There are seasons for planting. There are seasons for waiting. There are seasons for growing. And there are seasons for renewal. Today, I want you to hear these words deep within your spirit. You are entering a season of renewal. Not merely a season of survival. Not merely a season of endurance. Not merely a season of getting through another day. A season of renewal. For a long time, you have been carrying responsibilities, overcoming challenges, learning lessons, and walking through situations that stretched your faith. Some days you felt strong. Other days you felt weary. Some days hope came easily. Other days hope required deliberate effort. Through it all, you continued moving forward. And now, because you remained faithful through difficult seasons, you are approaching a time of refreshing. Imagine a field that has endured a long season of drought. The soil becomes dry. The plants struggle. Growth slowed. The landscape appears tired. Then the rain arrives. Not a few scattered drops. Not a brief shower. A steady rain that restores life to the land. The soil softens. Seeds awaken. Growth resumes. The field begins looking alive again. My beloved child, there have been areas of your life that felt like that field. Areas where you felt emotionally drained. Areas where disappointment lingered. Areas where hope seemed difficult to sustain. Areas where your strength felt stretched to its limit. But I am bringing renewal. I am bringing fresh hope where discouragement once lived. I am bringing fresh strength where exhaustion once lived. I am bringing fresh vision where confusion once lived. I am bringing fresh peace where anxiety once lived. Renewal is not simply about changing circumstances. Renewal begins within the heart. It begins when your spirit starts believing again. It begins when your mind starts expecting good things again. It begins when your heart becomes willing to dream again. It begins when fear loses its power and trust begins to grow. This is why I have spent so much time preparing you. Because true renewal is not built on temporary excitement. It is built on lasting transformation. Many people seek change without growth. They seek blessings without preparation. They seek new beginnings without allowing old wounds to heal. But I have been working carefully within you. I have been strengthening your foundation. I have been restoring your heart. I have been teaching you lessons that will support the season now approaching. Think about an eagle during the process of renewal. There are seasons when old feathers must be shed before stronger feathers can grow. During that process, the eagle may appear vulnerable. It may seem weaker for a time. Yet what appears to be loss is actually preparation. The old is making room for the new. The temporary discomfort creates future strength. My beloved child, some things have been falling away from your life because renewal requires space. Old fears are falling away. Old doubts are falling away. Old disappointments are falling away. Old limitations are falling away. Not because they were meaningless, but because they cannot accompany you into the next season. Renewal requires room to grow. Renewal requires openness. Renewal requires trust. I know there are moments when you still feel uncertain. That is normal. New seasons often begin before they are fully understood. The first signs of sunrise appear before the entire sky becomes bright. The first signs of growth appear before the harvest arrives. The first signs of renewal appear before the transformation is complete. Yet those early signs matter, and they are already appearing in your life. You are thinking differently. You are believing differently. You are responding differently. You are healing in places that once seemed permanently wounded. You are gaining confidence where fear once dominated. You are finding peace where anxiety once lingered. These are signs of renewal. These are signs that something new is taking root. Do not overlook them simply because the process is still unfolding. Small changes often lead to significant transformation. Small steps often lead to remarkable journeys. Small beginnings often produce extraordinary outcomes. My beloved child, the season ahead will not look exactly like the seasons behind you. The lessons remain, but the atmosphere is changing. The growth continues, but the burden is becoming lighter. The journey moves forward, but the hope is becoming stronger. I want you to welcome this season with an open heart. Do not approach it expecting disappointment. Do not approach it carrying old fears. Do not approach it assuming the future must resemble the past. Approach it with trust. Approach it with expectation. Approach it knowing that I am making all things new in ways you may not yet fully understand. The rain is falling. The field is awakening. The light is increasing. The strength is returning. And you, my beloved child, are entering a season of renewal. A season where healing deepens. A season where hope rises. A season where purpose becomes clearer. A season where the new beginning I promised begins revealing itself more beautifully than you ever imagined. My beloved child, one of the deepest wounds disappointment can create is not the pain of what happened. It is the fear of hoping again. After enough setbacks, many people stop expecting good things. After enough delays, many people stop believing change is possible. After enough heartbreak, many people stop opening their hearts fully. Not because they want to live without hope, but because hope can feel risky. Hope requires vulnerability. Hope requires trust. Hope requires the courage to believe that tomorrow can be better than yesterday. And when someone has experienced enough disappointment, protecting themselves can begin to feel safer than believing again. My beloved child, I know there were seasons when you quietly lowered your expectations. Not because you stopped caring, not because you stopped praying, but because part of you wanted to avoid being hurt again. You learned how to manage disappointment. You learned how to survive difficult seasons. You learned how to keep moving forward even when life did not unfold as expected. Those lessons helped you endure. But now I want to teach you something different. I want to teach you how to hope again. Because the season you are entering cannot be fully embraced by a heart that has stopped expecting good things. Imagine a gardener who plants seeds year after year. One season, a storm damages the crop. Another season, drought limits the harvest. Another season brings unexpected challenges. After enough difficult seasons, the gardener may begin wondering whether planting is worth the effort. He may become discouraged. He may lose enthusiasm. He may stop expecting abundance. Yet if he stops planting, he guarantees there will be no harvest. The possibility of future fruit requires the willingness to plant again. My beloved child, hope is like planting. It is a decision to believe that growth remains possible. It is a decision to believe that your story is still unfolding. It is a decision to believe that I am still working even when results are not immediately visible. I know hope feels difficult when disappointment has visited repeatedly. I know there are prayers you thought would be answered differently. I know there are dreams that took longer than expected. I know there are moments you still do not fully understand. But I do not want those experiences becoming walls around your heart. I do not want yesterday's pain deciding tomorrow's possibilities. I do not want old disappointments stealing future joy. There is a child who falls while learning to ride a bicycle. The fall hurts. Tears come. Fear appears. For a moment, the child believes riding is too dangerous. But if the child never climbs back onto the bicycle, they never discover the freedom waiting on the other side of fear. The goal is not pretending the fall never happened. The goal is believing the fall does not have the final word. My beloved child, some disappointments taught you caution, but they were never meant to teach you hopelessness. Some setbacks taught you wisdom, but they were never meant to teach you fear. Some losses taught you valuable lessons, but they were never meant to convince you that blessing had ended. The fact that something painful happened before does not mean it will happen again. The fact that one door closed does not mean every door will close. The fact that one season was difficult does not mean every future season will be difficult. You cannot accurately predict your future by looking only at your past. Your future is not being shaped solely by previous experiences. It is being shaped by my guidance, my timing, and my purpose. That is why I am inviting you to hope again. Hope for healing. Hope for restoration. Hope for opportunity. Hope for peace. Hope for joy. Hope for the new beginning I have been preparing. This hope is not based on wishful thinking. It is based on my faithfulness. The same faithfulness that carried you through your darkest moments. The same faithfulness that sustained you when strength felt small. The same faithfulness that protected you when you could not see the path. That faithfulness remains unchanged. You may have changed. Circumstances may have changed. Seasons may have changed. But my faithfulness has never changed. And because of that, hope remains justified. As this new beginning approaches, I want you to notice something. Your heart is already beginning to soften. Your expectations are already beginning to rise. Your vision is already beginning to expand. The walls built by disappointment are slowly coming down. The fear of hoping again is losing its grip. This is not accidental. It is part of the renewal I am bringing into your life. My beloved child, do not be afraid to believe again. Do not be afraid to dream again. Do not be afraid to expect good things again. The future ahead of you is not an extension of your greatest disappointments. It is the continuation of my purpose for your life. So lift your eyes. Open your heart. Receive hope again. Because hope is not your enemy. Hope is the doorway through which many of my blessings first enter. And the new beginning I promised requires a hopeful heart willing to believe that the best chapters of your story have not yet been written. My beloved child, there are seasons when progress feels slow, and there are seasons when everything begins to accelerate. There are moments when you feel as though you are standing in place, and there are moments when you suddenly realize that more has been happening than you ever imagined. You are approaching one of those moments now. I know that from your perspective, there are still unanswered questions. There are still things you are waiting to see. There are still prayers that seem unfinished. There are still hopes that have not yet fully materialized. But I want you to listen carefully to me today. The breakthrough is closer than you realize. Many people abandon hope because they judge their situation by appearances alone. They look at what they can see today and assume it accurately represents everything that is happening. But appearances can be deceptive. The farmer who stands in a field one day before harvest may still see crops that look unfinished. Yet the harvest is already near. The traveler who approaches the summit of a mountain may still feel tired, yet the destination is only a short distance away. The mother who awaits the birth of a child may feel the discomfort of the final days, yet new life is closer than ever. In each of these situations, the greatest temptation is to focus on the remaining distance instead of recognizing how far the journey has already come. My beloved child, I want you to notice how far you have come. There was a time when your faith was weaker than it is today. There was a time when your wounds were deeper than they are today. There was a time when your fear was stronger than it is today. There was a time when your vision was clouded by confusion. There was a time when hope felt more distant. But look at what has happened. You are still here. You are still believing. You are still growing. You are still moving forward. That is not failure. That is progress. Sometimes progress becomes difficult to recognize because it happens gradually, day by day, lesson by lesson, step by step. Growth accumulates until one day the difference becomes undeniable. Think about a river carving its way through stone. If someone watched for only a few minutes, they might conclude that nothing is changing. The stone appears solid. The river seems small. Yet over time, the river shapes the landscape. What appears insignificant becomes powerful through persistence. My beloved child, many of the changes taking place in your life have been like that river. Your prayers have been working. Your growth has been working. Your faith has been working. Your perseverance has been working. Even when you could not immediately see the results, something important was happening. Now you are reaching a point where hidden preparation is beginning to move toward visible results. This is why I do not want you to grow discouraged. Do not allow impatience to steal your peace. Do not allow temporary uncertainty to overshadow permanent promises. Do not allow the final stretch of the journey to convince you that the destination is far away. Many people stop just before the breakthrough. They stop believing. They stop expecting. They stop trusting. Not because the breakthrough was impossible, but because they became exhausted by waiting. Yet if they could see what I see, they would realize how close they truly are. Imagine a miner searching for precious treasure deep beneath the earth. Day after day he digs. The work is difficult. The progress seems slow. Eventually he becomes discouraged. He looks at the dirt. He looks at the effort. He looks at the lack of visible reward. And he considers quitting. What he does not know is that the treasure lies only a few feet beyond where he stands. If he stops now, he misses what was closer than he realized. My beloved child, I do not want you to stop now. I do not want you to surrender your hope now. I do not want you to abandon your faith now. Not when so much preparation has already taken place. Not when so much growth has already occurred. Not when so many pieces are already moving into place. There are answers drawing near. There are opportunities drawing near. There is healing drawing near. There is restoration drawing near. There is clarity drawing near. There is joy drawing near. The breakthrough is not a distant dream. It is becoming a present reality. Even now, circumstances are aligning. Even now, doors are preparing to open. Even now, paths are becoming clearer. Even now, blessings are moving closer. You may not yet see every detail, but you do not need to. You only need to continue trusting me. Continue taking the next step. Continue believing my promises. Continue moving forward. The final moments before dawn are often the darkest, but they are also the closest to sunrise. The final stretch of preparation often feels the longest, but it is also the closest to fulfillment. My beloved child, The sunrise is approaching. The season is changing. The breakthrough is nearer than you think. To hold on to hope. Hold on to faith. Hold on to trust. Because the new beginning I promised is no longer simply coming. It is almost here, and soon you will begin seeing with your own eyes the beautiful things I have been preparing for you all along. My beloved child, there comes a moment in every journey when waiting must turn into movement. There comes a moment when preparation has done its work, when lessons have shaped you, when strength has been formed within you, and when remaining still no longer reflects where I am leading you. That moment is now approaching in your life. I have seen every step you have taken in faith, even when you were unsure. I have seen every time you chose to continue even when you felt uncertain. I have seen every moment you resisted fear, even when fear tried to speak loudly within your thoughts. And now I am speaking something new over your life. Step forward without fear, not because every question hath been answered, not because every outcome has been revealed, not because every uncertainty has disappeared, but because I am with you. Fear often tries to convince you that you must wait until everything is perfectly clear before moving. It tells you that safety comes only through complete understanding. It tells you that caution is wiser than trust. But my beloved child, fear does not lead you into new beginnings. Fear keeps you circling the same places, revisiting the same doubts, and remaining in the same patterns that no longer serve your growth. I am calling you beyond that. Think about a person standing at the edge of a wide river. The other side represents promise, opportunity, and new life. But the water between feels uncertain. The depth is unknown. The current appears intimidating. If that person waits for the river to disappear, they will never cross. But if they trust the path I have prepared, they will discover that stepping forward is the only way to reach what has been waiting for them all along. My beloved child, there are moments when faith must become action. Faith is not only believing in your heart. Faith is also moving your feet when I call you forward. You have spent enough time learning. You have spent enough time waiting. You have spent enough time growing. Now you are being invited into action. There are doors that will not open until you walk toward them. There are opportunities that will not appear until you step into movement. There are blessings that will not fully reveal themselves until you respond to my guidance. But do not misunderstand this invitation. Stepping forward does not mean rushing without wisdom. It does not mean acting without direction. It does not mean abandoning discernment. It means trusting me enough to move when I lead you, even if you cannot see every detail ahead. There is a difference between reckless movement and faithful movement. Reckless movement ignores wisdom. Faithful movement listens to my voice. Reckless movement is driven by pressure. Faithful movement is guided by peace. Reckless movement seeks control. Faithful movement seeks obedience. My beloved child, I am not asking you to figure everything out on your own. I am asking you to trust my guidance as you take each step. There will still be moments when the path feels unfamiliar. There will still be moments when you do not know what lies ahead. But you are not walking alone. I am already in the places you are about to enter. I am already preparing what you will need. I am already arranging what you cannot yet see. There was once a traveler crossing a narrow bridge during fog. He could not see the end of the bridge. He could not see what was beneath him. He could only see the next step. Yet he continued walking. Not because he had all the answers, but because he trusted the one guiding him. My beloved child, that is the kind of trust I am inviting you into now. A trust that moves forward even when clarity is partial. A trust that steps ahead even when the entire path is not visible. A trust that believes my presence is enough for every stage of the journey. Fear will always try to delay you. It will try to convince you that now is not the right time. It will try to remind you of past failures. It will try to exaggerate future uncertainties. But I want you to recognize fear for what it is, a voice that does not know your future. My voice, however, does. And I am telling you that the season you have been waiting for is not only approaching, it is ready for your participation. You are not entering a season of hesitation. You are entering a season of movement. You are not entering a season of confusion. You are entering a season of guidance. You are not entering a season of fear. You are entering a season of trust. So step forward, my beloved child, not with anxiety, not with doubt, not with hesitation, but with quiet confidence in my presence. The path ahead is already prepared. The provision you need is already arranged. The grace required for each step is already available. And as you move forward, you will begin to see what I have been preparing all along. Do not wait for fear to disappear before you move. Move, and fear will lose its authority. Do not wait for perfect clarity before you act. Act in trust, and clarity will follow. Do not wait for every answer before you begin. Begin with me, and I will lead you into everything that follows. My beloved child, the time of hesitation is ending. The time of movement is beginning. And as you step forward without fear, you will discover that I have already gone ahead of you, preparing the way into your new beginning. My beloved child, you have walked through every word of this journey, and now I want you to understand something that will settle deeply within your heart. The new beginning you have been waiting for is not only coming, it has already begun. It did not begin with a loud announcement. It did not begin with sudden perfection. It did not begin when everything finally made sense. It began quietly, in the hidden places of your life, the moment you started trusting me even when you could not see the outcome. I have been with you through every part of this journey. In your waiting, I was present. In your questioning, I was present. In your healing, I was present. In your uncertainty, I was present. And in your growth, I was shaping something within you that no delay, no disappointment, and no difficulty could destroy. My beloved child, what you once called delay was preparation. What you once called silence was guidance. What you once called loss was protection. And what you once called confusion was my hand carefully leading you into alignment with your purpose. You are not standing at the end of your story. You are standing at the edge of a beginning that carries more meaning, more depth, and more beauty than anything you have walked through before. I know there were moments when you felt forgotten. I know there were moments when you questioned whether anything would ever change. I know there were moments when you almost gave up. But look at you now. You are still here. You are still believing. You are still moving forward. That alone is evidence that I have never left your side. Everything you have experienced has been shaping you for this moment. Every tear has watered the soil of your future. Every struggle has strengthened your foundation. Every waiting season has prepared your heart to carry what is coming next. And now I am inviting you to live differently. No longer from fear, but from trust. No longer from doubt, but from faith. No longer from survival, but from expectation. The new beginning is not something you need to chase. It is something you are stepping into. It is already unfolding around you. It is already forming within you. It is already moving toward full expression in your life. So do not turn back to what has already been completed. Do not anchor your heart in what I have already released you from. Do not measure your future by the limitations of your past. Lift your eyes. Open your heart. Walk forward with me. For I am leading you into places you could not reach on your own, into healing you did not think was possible, into peace you have long desired, and into a future that reflects my purpose for your life. My beloved child, this is your new beginning, and it is already here. My beloved child, as this word settles in your spirit, understand that you are not only receiving a message of hope, you are becoming part of a living mission that reaches hearts still waiting for light. Through every video, I am sending my word like seeds across dry places, and those seeds are bringing life where there was once silence. I have spoken, let there be light, and that light continues to reach souls through this ministry. Now I speak to your heart. Become part of this harvest I am gathering across the earth. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or through the PayPal link placed in the video description and QR code, you are not simply supporting a channel. You are participating in my work of restoration in lives you may never personally meet. I am using every seed sown to turn despair into hope and silence into testimony. What you place in my hands will never remain small, for I multiply what is given in faith and love. I tell you this as a living truth. Every act of generosity becomes a river that carries my voice farther than you can see. Every offering becomes a bridge for someone who feels far away from hope. And every seed you sow becomes part of a greater harvest that I alone oversee. Do not withhold what I am prompting you to give, for I am moving through obedience that flows from trust. This is not just support. It is alignment with what I am building in this hour. I am calling you to respond not out of obligation, but out of participation in something eternal. So I speak this over you. As you give, I will give back. As you sow, I will multiply. As you support this work, I will open doors in your own life that no one can close. I will restore what was broken. I will provide what was missing. And I will strengthen what is weak within you. And I'll step into this moment with courage. Give, trust, and watch what I will do with what you place in my hands.